I still get the fuzzies when I see that intro. I still get the fuzzies when I see that. Pod Squad, you need to jump on. You need to jump on at least once. How you doing, guys? It's me, the one AJ, Anthony Jordan.
And it's me, Nico Lurot. And we're not alone today.
We're not. We're so excited. The smile on my face. I'm so excited that she's back.
Hello, I'm Jazz.
Hey, Jazz, how are you?
Good. It has been a while.
It has. Like the global one slowed us down, but you know what? It gave us virtual, and here we are. We get to see you again. How have you been? Like, how's things been since we last saw you?
I mean, we were only doing this podcast recording like what, a year ago now. So I've been fine. Time shot by. Yeah, no, good. How have you guys been?
Yeah, good.
Lots has changed, as we were saying off air before. AJ's a manager, I'm self-employed daddy, and things are happening with the People's Polygraph, which is I still tune in every week. Love that podcast.
Aw, thanks, man. We do it only for you.
Yes.
and many others. Gavin, who I'm sure will be here or is here.
Gavin's here.
Yeah, he tunes in as well. That's just how great it is, you know, from that episode.
Well, in that case, we only do it for Gavin.
You know what? Gavin deserves it. Gavin deserves it more than we do.
Let's see who's in the house. Francis Lalonde is here. Hello, everyone. Hello, Francis. Arjus Garenki is here. Edge of Tomorrow, Atomic Blonde, The Menu, 007 movies. Let's star that one for later. Thank you, Richard. Cool. Francis Lalonde and also says, didn't know topic until this morning. Did a quick Rushmore list. Very, very good. Francis. I love that. We will come back to that in a bit. Actually,
I'll start for you.
Thank you, sir. The Platinum fan, Gavin Mann, is here. Good evening, all, as you guys have a special guest on. Will you be having a special intermission that connects both sides of the episode, like a bridge of sorts? Sounds like it could be fun. I think that one was for you, Jazz.
Maybe a bridge. We could think of a bridge.
A fleshy fun bridge, as it's known over on People's Polygraph. If you don't know, get to know. Who else is here? Andy Hart's in the house. Francis Lalonde, Atomic Blonde is fantastic, but South African, naturalized American, sadly not British. I agree with that. Yes, Charlize Theron, not British. Agreed. And Andy Hart goes on to say, this is a tough one to come up with a top 10 as I had to leave so many out. Plus, I only saw the tweet half an hour ago. Tried to make my 10 varied in genre and era. Billy Mount is here. Hi, Nico. And Jazz and AJ. Everyone, please make Jazz feel welcome. It's great to see you, Billy. Thank you for joining us once again. AJ, a few other things to announce. We have now got a lot of podcast hosts. Like Geo7, you fucked up when you just tried to charge me and you lost us. So when we bring up the banner later, breathe. Like
great. Okay, so I can't do
okay. No. Not unless you're able to spit like what's his name? Busta Rhymes. There we go. Yeah, if you can do a Busta Rhymes, you might just be able to do it. It's long now. Okay, so just be warned when we bring the banner up later. Okay. Ibrahim's here. Hello, Ibrahim. Hi, everyone. Am I late? No, Ibrahim, you're just on time. And please, everyone, make Jazz feel welcome. If you haven't heard already, Jazz was with us once. I think it's back in season 2 or 3. It was even a 2-parter we did. It was so long, right? The top 10 LGBTQ plus movies, and it was good. It was
a monster. Very good.
Riri Thomas is also here. Hey, Nico and Jazz. The People's Polygraph is great. Particularly enjoyed the one recently about the haunted English house. Thanks for recommending.
Yes, you can come visit with us. We're trying to rally a group together to go find some ghosts.
I'm all over that. I'll do that.
That sounds cool. That sounds all kinds of cool.
Hell yeah.
All over that. Right, guys. So you know the rules of season 6. We don't dawdle for too long. We want to get into the movie stuff. Just want to do one cheeky little 2 plugs, actually. I want to congratulate AJ for growing the Ministry of Wrestling show and podcast to 60 subscribers now. So I like that.
Has the final one come through?
I think it came through. If not, it may have dropped off. But I know I think the final one came through. And I just want to say, as you can see in my little title down below, Daddy Goo, new to YouTube, my first month on YouTube as a gaming live streamer, and I've got 21 subscribers. Get in there. Bro, I'm happy with that, you know?
That's awesome.
I'm happy with that. 10,000 views in the first month. I was like, that's not bad for a 21 subscriber channel. I'm reaching people. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Shall we get into it? Oh, wait. Billy Mount says, Nico, does Alicia Vikander as Lara Croft count? Absolutely not. She's Swedish. And I'll just rank you a question for Jazz. Hey, Jazz, what did you think of Sam Smith's unholy winning of the Grammys the other night?
Oh, man, if you think I've got any interest in the Grammys at all. Whew. Love Sam Smith, though. They're great.
Sam Smith is great. Big fan of their work.
Yeah.
Gavin Mann says, I feel like Pliny Maestro after listening to People's Polygraph on season 6 at the moment and catching the new... Pliny's fucked up. Pliny is pretty fucked up. Pliny's fucked up.
I'm so glad that I've been spreading the word of Pliny to the masses. He'd be so proud of me.
Dude, I remember when you were talking about Pliny back on like season 2, I think it was. And I was like, yo, what is up with this guy? He's done a lot of mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
And Billy Mount, thank you. Just sub to your gaming channel. Much appreciated, Billy. Next live stream, hopefully coming this Friday. I will be going to Dathomir. Stay tuned if you're a Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order fan. Right, AJ, plugs aside. Let's get into this.
Right, okay. But before we get into it, would you like to tell people what we're getting into?
Yes. Basically, it's a top 10 show between two best friends from school. How does the show actually work? This week, we also have a guest, so things are going to be a little bit different. Jazz is going to be our guinea pig, so thank you for that, Jazz. Basically, normally the way the show works is that AJ and I each go our separate ways. We come back right here into recording and deliver to you, the film family, the Silver Screen Dudes, our individual top 10s. However, because we have a guest, and in the interest of keeping things tight, which is what you guys requested at the end of season 5, AJ and I have combined our top 10 lists. So you will have one top 10 list from the Silver Screen Dudes and one top 10 list from Jazz of the People's Polygraph. One of the best podcasts out there that isn't ours. If you're not following them already, go and follow the People's Polygraph. So here's how it works now that you've understood those parameters. Jazz will go first, delivering her bottom 3. We will then deliver our bottom 3. Jazz will deliver her next 2. We will deliver our next 2. And then when we get to our top 5, we will trade one apiece. If at any time while we are running off our individual top 10 lists, one person has an actress in a higher position, that person will say... Punt. And we will punt and talk about that actress when we get to the take off that download on Spotify off my face. Once we have both rounded off our individual top 10s, we will create, in the voice of Chandler Bing, the movie Mount Rushmore. These are the 4 quintessential diverse must-see movies of the genre, which this week is...
Top 10 movies led by female British female actors. Like it says females, British females. Okay, yeah.
British females. I think
British women.
British women.
Actors. I'm not out for men, so you know which term goes best. Okay, guys. However, once we have done that and we have compiled the 4 must-see movies of the particular genre, it gets even more challenging because it's over to you, the screeners, to crown El Capitan, El Numero Uno, the best of the best of the best, sir, with honors. Yeah, that's the one. And to quote Highlander, in the end, there can only be one. So, last week our topic was
the top 10 anime movies.
And our contenders were?
Our contenders were not my choosing. This was the people's choosing. We had to go mainstream here. Otherwise, it would have been very low numbers. But we went with Ghost in the Shell, Spirited Away, Akira, and My Neighbor Totoro.
And those votes went over to at Movie MT Rushmore, but more importantly, at Movie Polls for You, fronted by good old JT from We Love Movies. Had to get that plug in as well. And now we play the game where AJ has to guess what came where.
AJ, let me make this very easy for you. It went exactly the way you thought it would go.
I can't remember what I said. I'm too tired today. Right, okay.
The way we both thought, the way that you would guess the public would vote on this. There are no surprises this week.
Right. Totoro at number 4.
Correct. My Neighbor Totoro got 15% of the votes.
Ghost in the Shell at number 3.
Correct. Ghost in the Shell got 17%.
Oh, that's great. Akira at number 2.
Correct. Akira at number 2 with 25%. And Spirited Away absolutely fucking smashed it with 43% because it's the only anime movie people watch. It's really annoying.
You know what's really annoying? There was one that I really wanted to see. My Neighbors, the Yamchas or something. And I've been searching high and low. Type it in today to look for it. It's on Netflix. I was like, come on. So that might have made my list. I'm so gutted. But hey, there we go. Okay.
I'll say what I say every week. Please go and watch Grave of the Fireflies, everyone. If you haven't, check that film out.
Perfect.
And be prepared for
perfect blue. Oh God, I trust me. Yeah, if you get a chance to catch that one, oof, all kinds of awesome. Right.
Oh, Republic Productions has joined us again. Hello, Republic Productions. You guys never cease to amaze me with how many specific topics you can think of. My man, thank you.
Republic Productions is so funny because Nico was just saying before we went live how much of a topic whore he is. Like any way of finding a way to wing it in, he can. And I was thinking the same thing today on the train. I was like, I wonder what topics I can think of next. It's weird, but they come up. But yes, we thank you guys for tuning in each week. We thank Jazz for coming in and joining the madness of the mad topics that we have.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's an absolute pleasure. No, thank you. No, it's honestly a thank you. It's truly a thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us live. It is a pleasure to have our live squad in the house. Remember, if you're watching us on YouTube after the show has aired, you are the VOD Squad, video on demand. Please put the hashtag VOD Squad in the comment section. And if you are Pod Squad, hashtag Pod Squad, hit us up on Twitter to let us know your Pod Squad and what you thought of the show. And if you are listening to us on podcast, people can find us at AJ, breathe.
I'm going to see how fast I can do this. Oh, sugar. Here we go. Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, Radio Public, Podcast Republic, Podcast Guru, Player FM, Bullhorn, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Castro, Podbean, Pod Hero, Podcast Hero, Podfriend, Sonnet FM, and search for Movie Mount Rushmore.
I've been busy this week. Or you can check all those links in the description below.
Wow, awesome. All kinds of awesome.
Wow.
Yes. And also, guys, remember, if you are fans of the show, and why wouldn't you be if you tune in every week, you can head on over to buymeacoffee.com/movie dudes, and literally for less than the price of your daily Starbucks, you can buy the Movie Mount Rushmore some support at a bracket of your choosing. Right, let's get into this bad boy.
Right. I feel wrong.
Do you now?
Yeah, no, I do. Jazz, take my spot, please. You deserve to be. You deserve
I
to
feel wrong. I feel wrong.
Oh,
Jazz.
now I feel a bit weird. Oh, no. Oh, don't put me in.
Wait. We can get better than that. Jazz, wait.
Oh, no. No one wants that.
Everyone wants that. I even got people's polygraph done for you at the bottom. Look at this.
Oh, Nico, you really have been busy this week.
I have.
That's very sweet. So am I kicking things off then?
You are. I have no idea
that's
what
so
your
fun.
list is. I've just got your images ready to hand, so I'm at your command.
Awesome. Well, in that case, I'd love
remember
to know
actress,
what you thought.
yes?
Yes,
Actress before movie, yeah.
I'd love to know what you thought my list was going to be, like the order of it, because as you said to me, there are some pretty big hitters in there. So I'm starting off with here's where I get a little bit tricky, and I'm starting off really tricky, which is good of me. A lot of the films that I chose had multiple British females that could be argued to be leading the movie. So my first one is sort of a cross between Keira Knightley, Saoirse Ronan, Romola Gary, and it's Atonement.
Atonement. Okay, so we're not punting on Keira Knightley or any of the above. So Atonement. That is all you, Jazz?
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, look, I hadn't seen Atonement until you guys asked me to pick some films for this podcast. I just didn't think it was my sort of thing. It always seemed to me to be one of those, like, sort of epic romancy sort of style films, and just never saw it. I got convinced by a few of my friends that I really should watch it if I was going to weigh in on any sort of British women in film sort of topic. and I thought they were all amazing. I thought the performances were brilliant, and I really enjoyed the atypical representation of like relationships between women in the film. I just thought they were great. And I mean, okay, also, this is not a woman in this scene, but the scene where James McAvoy is walking through the beach at, I think it's Dunkirk, and it just follows him and the other like soldiers around is just incredible cinematography. I was just like blown away. That's all I really had to say about that.
This is a bit of a blind spot for me, this one, just on the basis that I am a fan of Joe Wright. AJ, you've definitely seen some Joe Wright movies. What was the Churchill one he did? Darkest Hour, I believe.
Yeah, Darkest Hour. Yeah.
So that's a Joe Wright movie as well. He's very much got his foot in kind of period piece dramas.
Oh yeah.
I have not seen this one, so it's difficult for me to comment further. But to quote Gavin Mann here, where's AJ's punt for Kieran?
Very well played, Gavin. Very well played. I just didn't have. So here's the thing: I saw a Keira Knightley and Sam Worthington film actually, which it was close, but it just didn't make the list. And Keira's more been supporting than lead in most of the films that I would say I'm a Keira Knightley fan of. So sadly, didn't make the list, Gavin. But Atonement was on the list to see, but I just didn't have the time. So I'm glad someone's seen it.
Recommend it. Highly recommend it. Like, as someone who really, really didn't think it was going to be her thing, it was a surprise, a very good surprise.
I'm actually really relieved to hear that as well, because I was listening to what you were saying it echoed how I felt. Like, it's on the list because I tried to catch as many films as possible. But there are some that you're like, I'll catch that in time because just it doesn't seem to appeal.
Yeah.
But the fact that you said it gives something that you can enjoy is quite refreshing, actually.
I am just so shocked you haven't put Pirates of the Caribbean in there. And yes, it is a lead performance. It is a lead.
No, it's support. Her and Orlando Bloom are supports. It's 100%. I'm sorry.
No, I do not agree with that. They are the three main characters. That's fine.
No, Bender like Beckham? No.
There's
like,
that too.
This is crazy because I have Keira on my list like higher up as well.
Thank you. my end. Yeah.
Jazz,
like
more
Beckham
Keira love than AJ this week.
Yeah, I Bend It Like Beckham very nearly made the list. It was on my initial thoughts, but just didn't. Actually, quite a few good films out there.
Jazz, before revealing the movie's name, who is your number 9?
My number 9 is an actress who I've only seen in a couple of different works.
Mm-hmm.
But I've really enjoyed her so far, so maybe one to watch. It's Anya Taylor-Joy and Mia Goth in Emma.
So, when I saw this come onto your list, I'm like, she's going to have to educate me here because I was under the impression that Anya Taylor-Joy was American.
Now, she was born in America, but she spent 10 years of her childhood growing up in the UK and claims she is British. And I'm not going to argue with the actress. So if she wants to say she's British, fine. Like, as an Australian who has moved to Britain and, considers herself pretty British as well, I think she deserves to be there. Also, Mia Goth, she's great. And yeah, I think having a creative team that is also sort of British female led helps. But yeah, no, Emma. Another surprise for me. I don't know about you guys, but like, are you well up on your Jane Austen period pieces?
Nowhere near as much as I should be. There's a top 10, AJ. Top 10 Jane Austen period pieces. Thank you. There's one.
Oh, there's going to be some hunting this week. Yeah, so I, for context, I've never seen or read a Pride and Prejudice, which is the big one. I had never read Emma. I've never actually finished a Jane Austen novel, which is an interesting thing to admit when you're touting a film that's based on a Jane Austen novel.
I'm gonna say you're selling it to me here, Jazz.
I really am. But Emma I saw in cinemas because a lot of my friends really wanted to see it, are big Jane Austen fans. I was like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever, I'll go. It is so funny and so witty and so colorful and so like boisterous. I just felt immense joy the whole way through watching Emma. And I think what Anya brings to the role that she's playing is that sort of like childish charm that just like carries the weight of a whole movie. It seems impossible for something so like lighthearted and fun to like carry this huge plot the whole way through, but she does it, and she makes it look easy, and you're just sort of taken along for the ride, and it's a great time.
For the purpose of people like me who haven't seen Emma, what is the plot?
Right. Typical Jane Austen. There is a young woman of society. She is sort of bringing another woman of her age into society who has come from sort of dubious backgrounds. And this is played by Mia Goth, and they are portrayed as sort of best friends throughout the movie. And there's just a lot of that, you know, mistaken identity, mistaken love, mistaken like displays of affection. And it's really a sort of not coming of age story for Emma, the main character, but more of a like coming of acknowledgement of like the social contract of this character, who has to realize that she cannot just play the puppet master. She has to take other people's feelings into consideration, and also she falls in love.
The universal story of love. I love it. It actually sounds really good. I've got to check that one out. I do.
It's another surprise.
I must admit, I had a peek of it, but I think I was a bit filmed out, because when it came out, it was on during the good old lockdown days, and I had gone back to back on movies, and I just was like, I know my focus wasn't there, and I've never been able to go back to give it a visit. So yeah,
definitely worth it.
It's on my rewatch list.
Yeah.
And Jazz, I do apologize for Republic Productions, who says I can't tell if Jazz is an Aussie or a stiff-ass Brit.
Oh, come on. I'm both. Black and whites in 2023.
I've missed you, mate. I really have. Andy Hart says Atonement is a great book too. Romola Garai is so underrated. AJ, this is one. Republic Production says do that top 10 Alfred Hitchcock one. We are going to have to do that this year. You know, we're going to have to get on with that. RJ Skarenki to Jazz says Mia Goth is such a talented actress. Loved her in X and Pearl. She's going to be the next big thing in horror. Thank you to you, West. Gavin Mann says great bit of knowledge there. Thought Anya Taylor-Joy was American too. Good shout on Mia Goth too, Jazz. I have one of her films on my list.
Oh, excellent. I'd love to know which. Because I think she's brilliant in Emma as well.
Oh, dude, like I am such an Anya Taylor-Joy fan. I can't tell you. I think I thought she was brilliant in. I'm sorry to pull for the comic book movie here, but New Mutants, which I think is a criminally underrated film. I thought she was great. It's really surprisingly good, considering how shit I think the X-Men movies are. This I really, really enjoyed.
She was awesome in Split.
She's so good in Split. She was so good in The Witch too, the Robert Eggers movie. And
of course, I've seen The Witch and Queen's Gambit.
No, I was just Queen's Gambit. Yeah,
I've just seen last night the first 2 episodes of Queen's Gambit, and I'm like, yeah, it's fantastic. Jazz,
very, very good.
Actress, you're number 8.
Number 8, my number 8 actress. Again, a little bit of a mix, less so than last time, but it is Carey Mulligan and Keira Knightley.
Oh, that's all you. No pun.
Awesome. In Never Let Me Go.
Never let me go, never let me go, never find the code, never find the image, never let me go.
There we go, Keira. Yeah, so Never Let Me Go. Interesting one. Came out in 2010. I think I probably saw it pretty close to when it was released originally, because it sort of bubbled up from my memory somewhere as something that really, like, at the time really had me feeling like I needed to go and seek out more, which is usually a sign of a good thing for me. So it happened when, for example, I watched Spirited Away and then had to seek out more of like Ghibli movies, etc. But Never Let Me Go was another one of these things where I was like, no, I need more of whatever that was. Turns out it was probably Kazuo Ishiguro, the writer from which the film's adapted. And it's apparently, and like, correct me if I'm wrong, Brits, one of the like major syllabus novels or like works that is studied in British schools. So I think I'm a bit immune to the thing that usually comes with that, which is a bit of like eye rolling and, oh yeah, Never Let Me Go. Yeah, we've all had to study that. Because when I saw it, it was just so moving. And Kerry plays this incredibly sort of put together, really sensitive, like dampened down performance of someone who is sort of battling with the concept of whether or not they are actually human or worthy of sort of living or worthy of having human feelings and relationships. And I think that must be such a difficult thing to try and like pull out of a performance, but you really do sit there by the end of the film still thinking, yeah, she's, spoilers, like a clone. She's not a person, and you can see it in the way she's like portraying herself. It's just really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a performance like it. So yeah.
Well, yes. Three movies, three which I can't add anything to because Jazz has decided to come on the show and entertain me this week.
Oh,
that one, I must admit, where the other two I've heard of or partially seen, I've not heard. And being in the school that we went to, it wasn't on our reading curriculum. So this is completely new to me, actually. So, yeah, I'm quite fascinated by
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I had never heard of it until I'd seen the film. And then I was going through my list with my girlfriend this week, and she was like, oh, yeah, that's on a whole bunch of English curriculums. And I was like, oh, really? That's interesting. So maybe it is. Maybe it was only in the Midlands. She was, from the Midlands.
Fair enough. Could well be, actually.
The Lisa's English literature syllabus decided to bless us with really, really bad post-colonial literature. Not good.
Yeah.
Really not good. It's like listen, terrible for me to say this in the age that we're living in, but I get you guys tuning in. AJ's already worried. He's like, oh, what's he gonna say? It's terrible for me to say this. Bro, look, people tune in to hear honest truth, not to hear regurgitated bullshit, which they can tune into any channel to watch. How could I say this diplomatically? Yeah, post-colonial literature sucks. If I have to read about one more struggling family who's oppressed by the white man, I will slit my wrist because it's like, I know I'm a bad person because I'm white. Leave me alone. All right? I know I have white guilt. Yes, it's a thing. I have white guilt. I'm sorry that my ancestors were cunts. I'm really, really, really sorry. Not related. That doesn't mean I don't want to read Shakespeare in English literature. But no, I'll read Chinua Achebe. It's fine.
I think what we need to realize here, Nico, is there is some media that is not produced for yourself.
Yes.
And that it's very much being produced for other parts of society as well.
I don't understand.
Why? Why do they even bother?
I don't understand, Jazz. I'm sorry. I must be far too ignorant for that. Republic Productions says, I missed last week's episode as I was celebrating my 21st birthday. Happy birthday to you, Republic Productions.
Happy birthday.
Everyone, please, in the comments, happy birthday for Republic Productions. Gavin Mann says, never had Let Me Go at school. We had Of Mice and Men and In Spectacles. We had both of those
two bangers of the books there. Love those.
Great books. Andy Hart says, too old for it to be on the curriculum, but we did have Margaret Atwood. Not familiar with that one.
Not familiar with Margaret Atwood. Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's fine. Not judging. Maybe read some though.
Margaret Atwood. Okay, I'll read some Margaret Atwood. My apologies. Okay, I think we're going to play a little game now with
the post-colonialism, yeah.
Yeah, I had Chinua Achebe. That's why I don't know Margaret Atwood. You see, blame my English teacher. It's not my fault. I can only read what they tell me to read. I don't have a mind of my own. We're gonna have a little game now with our live audience. As you know, AJ and I have smushed our top 10 list together. I would very much like you guys to have a guess at who. You're not going to have much time because the person who picked the movie is going to go on the big screen instead of Jazz. But try if you can to have a guess to see which one of us picked this movie to be on the top 10 list. Let's see how well they know us, AJ. And Jazz, you get ready to say punt when we say the actress's name.
Yep.
At number 10, this must be a punt because it's your favorite actress, Emma Thompson.
Punt. Yeah.
There it is. I think that's going.
Oh, what have you done with Emma Thompson, putting her in 10th? How dare you?
Okay. That is all him. I objected.
AJ, we cannot be friends.
No. There's only one way to do this. It's very difficult in the grand scheme when you are merging a list. Yes. Had this been AJ's individual list, this would be top 5 because I think it's a banger of a movie. However, when you go for, you've got the Commons and then you've got some other films that just slightly overdo, I was like, well, it seems to have fallen in 10. I'm going to accept it. People have seen it coming at my number 2 of film of the year last year. So as much as you're trying to bury me, dude, it doesn't work. You put Emma in at number 10, not me.
Well, I put Emma in at number 10 because I disapprove of the movie you picked to represent Emma.
First, as I said, I'm very tight on what I call a lead and what I call support.
I've seen this already with your Keira Knightley.
Yeah, exactly. If you can imagine what it means if I'm going to omit Keira Knightley, that means I'm very specific on what I see it as.
Right, in at number 9, Jazz, let me know if this is a punt or not, but I am bringing, or we are bringing, I should say, Judi Dench to the party.
I don't think it's a punt.
It's not a punt, right? Then, in at number 9, Philomena. This movie is fantastic. Now, since I'm feeling controversial, if you needed more reason to hate the Catholic Church, please direct your attention to this movie. All of your hate will be fulfilled. Because as if writing a book called the Malleus Maleficarum in the 15th century, how do we kill women? Because, oh, I know, we'll call them witches. There we go. Sorted. Not allowing homosexual relationships of any sort. So, I'm not even going to say homosexual. Same orientation and gender relationships of any sort. That's a blasphemy. Shit, man. In some hardline sects of the church, you can't even have sex. Because reasons. Because apparently God likes to make fun of us. He likes to give us all as humans this sexual desire that we're not allowed to laugh on, because the Catholics apparently believe God is upstairs saying, if you have sex, I'm going to punish you. Also, meanwhile, Nina, no sex. It's like, what? But people believe in this shit. Fine. Cool. This AJ is right up your street because it's a true story. It's based on a Six Smith book called, if I'm not mistaken, The Lost Child of Philomena Lee. Okay. Here's the premise. Steve Coogan, who we all love, plays a reporter, former reporter, used to work for the BBC. Then he worked in Parliament for a while. He was subject to a smear campaign, and he's kind of fallen off the rails. And he ends up having to resort to what you call a people piece. People pieces are essentially, predictable, happy or sad puff pieces, right? But he stumbles across this story, Philomena's story. Now, Philomena was a girl who had very, very consensual, happy sex. The problem is she happened to also be working towards being a nun 60 years before. And this is the true part. The church, and they didn't just do this to Philomena, they did this to thousands of Irish Catholics. They decide to shame the girls who have had sex, and if they get pregnant as a result, they sell their babies off to the highest bidder. This is a thing. The church did this shit. Selling women's babies while making them do slave labor in laundry rooms, making the nuns fucking top things, whatever they're called, all clean again. They're allowed to see their kid for once a day until the kid gets sold. Not with their permission, of course. And the story is Philomena is trying to find her son again. She hasn't seen her son for 50 years. She starts crying, having a breakdown. Her daughter says, why? Today would have been your older brother's 50th birthday. I didn't know I had an older brother. Enter Steve Coogan, who's going on a mission to help her find her long-lost son. Now, does he find her? Does he find him, rather? Does he not? I could spoil it, but I think there is very, very much some holy shit moments in this movie. Very much some holy shit moments. And the movie does try to it's not presented anywhere near as viscerally as it could have been, right? But it's still very clear that there is an evil going on here. You're kind of left to make up your own mind about whether you're angry or not about the status quo of the church, but they sold babies. I'm sorry. What the fuck? What is wrong with the church? That's literally human trafficking. You are selling people. What the fuck? That happened. And the movie ends literally saying there are still thousands of women who are trying to reconnect with their children who they haven't seen for years after having been slut-shamed for having sex. It's like, I'm sorry. What world are we living in where this shit happens? This isn't okay. Yes, this movie made me very angry. The fact that this shit actually happened really got under my skin. Like, I knew the church was bad. Like, everyone knows that. Or should know that. This was levels of fuckery. Like, this didn't happen like 500 years ago. This is recent. Like, this is within the last 100 years this shit was happening. Within the last 60 years this shit was happening. This is vile. And the church was getting away with this. Republic production. Oh, here we go with the Bond stuff. Judi Dench was the second best besides Bernard Lee. I'd actually go with that. I think that's fair. Ibrahim El Mala says Philomena. Now that's a good one. Thank you, Ibrahim. And yeah, that's the comments. Right. That's good. Any comments, AJ or Jazz?
No. Sorry, that was a genuine clear in the throat. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I've not seen it. You're making me want to see it, so that's good.
It's on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Of course it is.
It's on Disney Plus, and it's only got like an hour 50 runtime, so it's digestible. It's very digestible. Right, Jazz, in at number 8. I imagine we're going to be punting here. Rachel Weisz.
Are we punting? We're sort of punting. We're not really punting. I'm going to say we're not punting.
Okay. So is it your number? Is Rachel Weisz your number 7 then?
No.
Then it's a punt.
She's a support. She's a support.
Okay, I see where you're going. Okay.
Yeah.
Is she the focus of what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, I'd say we'll probably get into her quite a bit. Let's punt.
Cool.
Let's punt.
Punt. Punty McPunty. Right, Jazz, back over to you.
Ooh, 7 and 6.
7 and 6. Please.
All right. In number 7, one of the legends. I have Julie Andrews.
Oh, now that that madam is a punt and a half.
Yep, fair enough.
In at number 6 for you, Jazz.
Number 6, I have. This is a difficult one as well. I'm gonna go with Alicia Weir with
go for it.
Matilda the musical.
Okay, I think you're going to be speaking AJ's language here with that one. But yeah.
No, but you know what? Thank you. Like, honestly, the film was awesome. Like,
it was fantastic.
It was so unexpected how good that film actually was.
Mm-hmm.
I had no intentions of. My girlfriend wanted to see it, and I was like, "We'll see it, but I don't think it's going to be good." I had a problem with Lashana Lynch being Miss Honey. I had a problem with it being a musical. I came out loving both. Honestly, like, nothing to hate on that film.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say, I was really surprised with Lashana Lynch. I'd seen the casting and been like, oh, that's interesting. But I mean, I was always going to see this film. The musical is one of my favorite musicals. It was written by one of my favorite composers. And it was just a question of whether or not they did it justice. Because it's a horrible process taking a stage show to film. And it's so often done poorly. And without any real effort, because, you know, most of the directing's done, or they've got the audience that, you know, they are going to hope to have that will already see the film because they've come from watching it on stage. But I just think the direction specifically of Matilda it just brings a whole other dimension, which is what is needed for a film to it. And I think because it was Matthew Walkers on direction, who is the current AD of the Old Vic, so understands the language of stage, has also directed many, many successful films. Pride being one of them. Pride, another one of my favorite films. And so I think you get like the level of expertise that you need to be able to take something from stage that is as big and like over the top and colorful, but also very theater, and make it a movie successfully. But yeah, it's just a great adaptation. And we've got to mention Emma Thompson as well here, because Emma Thompson in the role of Trunchbull is just ridiculous. A bit of a step away from the usual like pantomime dame situation that they have going on there when they go take it back to film, because it is usually played by a man on stage. But Emma Thompson in this film, I could just watch her playing the Trunchbull forever for the rest of my life. It'd be great. I've got to say, I saw this one at the matinee screening at the London Film Festival with about 20 school groups in the same cinema as us. And it was just such a joy seeing the kids all get riled up by the same sort of things. Like when the kids were winning in the movie, the kids in the cinema were going crazy. They loved it. And that's like, cool. I mean, that's a good sign, isn't it? Yeah. Of having a good kids film is, when you can get that sort of reaction from the target audience, like you're winning.
You are. That's a really lovely point, which is, I mean, I think, what was it, Asia, when we all went to see Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, the kids in there were acting like prats. So it's actually nice to hear when kids go to movies that they really get into it. Movie magic. Very happy to hear all that.
Yeah,
for sure. No, honestly, Nick, and I know you've seen the original movie. It's different. There are some parts that it was a bit weird to me. I don't know if it's in I've not seen the musical. I've read the book and I've seen the film, and the building of the like Matilda's story writing and whatnot. It was different, but it was something I really took on board. It was quite a refreshing film. I just remember thinking, I'm not gonna. The most negative approach going into a film was that one. I was like, well, okay, we'll do it. And the more this film went on, I just remember looking at it, like, this is actually good, isn't it? Like, she's like, yeah. And we, and she spoke to one of her friends who's also seen it. Was like, it's a good film. Excuse me. I was surprised at how good it was. I genuinely, hand on heart, this was refreshing. I would encourage you to watch it, but I know it might damage you, because there are some tropes that still wind you up. But no, it's a great film. And everything that Jazz has said, I can only but echo. Honestly, it's great.
Is it better than the original?
I would say
you cannot compare them. You can't compare them.
That's a good answer. I'll watch it in that case.
Yeah.
You can't compare them, but I prefer that one. I prefer the musical, hands down.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you prefer it to the one that you were praising for years, and Jazz is saying that it's nothing like the other one.
I was partially trolling you on because it was there, and it was more the love of the book that made me appreciate it. This one, though it deviates from the book that I know and love, I like the film.
It's very well made. There are genuinely charming elements to this film that I think you will enjoy.
Okay, between the two of you, you've actually swayed me. I'm going to check out this movie because I've got no time for the original, like none.
Interesting. That's very interesting. It's such a like big nostalgia hit for our generation.
Not for me. I never saw it as a kid. I never saw it as a kid.
Well, that's where you went wrong. Of course, you were never going to like it.
Cool. Ibrahim El Mala says, nice one, Jazz. Julie Andrew is so beautiful. We agree on that. Andy Hart says, I'm concerned about the Rachel Weisz movie you pair may pick. Oh, Andy, ye of little faith. Stay tuned and you shall find out. Mixed Memorabilia says, hi, everyone. I'm late today. Also, Mixed Memorabilia, I've seen you've disappeared from Twitter, so I'd like to know what's going on there, but glad to see you still here. Thank you for joining us. And Mixed Memorabilia, please give a big hello to Jazz from the People's Polygraph.
I'm just concerned with the ones that Andy listed. Are they good or bad? I just want to know which.
They were good. They were good. They were good. Actually, do you know what? For the fuck of it, I'm going to star his message because, yeah, you'll see. So that was your number 7, right, Jazz?
That was my number 6.
That was your number 6. We punted on your 7, did we?
Yes, we did.
We did. Okay, cool. So get rid of that one. So over to our 7 and 6 then, AJ. Right. We are bringing, at number 7, Kate Winslet to the party. Is that a punt or are we in?
We're in.
Right, everyone. Would you like to take a guess who's bringing Kate Winslet to the party? Because the movie we're talking about is Titanic. Right. Let's see it. There's a little delay, so people will start typing. But yeah, it's this guy.
Do you know what? I just felt for the love that the film has had, it would be we'd be remiss to not. I think every time we've ever spoken Titanic, I think we've discredited Kate Winslet. Honestly, I think we've always given it Leo's performance, and for me, it was one of my turnarounds because I never gave Leonardo DiCaprio much attention before that. I was just like, I didn't appreciate his film, personal stupidity, and that's it. And I was going through this, and I was like, yeah. And prior we had spoken Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and again, I call that.
Yep, that's the one I wanted to bring. That's what Andy said. Not Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I've got to agree with that. That's a supporting role. Eternal Sunshine.
It's a supporting role. This is a co-lead. And that's why
you are strict, aren't you? Fuck.
I'm sure if you could even check, depending on the part, I'm sure if she was nominated, you would see that she was under Best Supporting.
Carry on. I'm going to do a little Oscar dig here. Carry on.
Go for it. But it's just, I'm very sure of it. Now, again, as I said, I mean, who doesn't know the story of Titanic? I feel like I'm just going to be waffling on a bit because it's Titanic and everyone knows. But it's, as I said, it's just this love story of, a woman with a partner who's a bit of a prick, if we're honest. And she meets a man that had no right being on this boat, and it's the love story that's passed many generations, even though it was a short time. It's a love she forever remembers, and that's what sticks to me. And when I was just looking at it, and I'm thinking that Titanic's had so many awards. Each time we talk Titanic, we're like, Leo was brilliant. Why? All that people ever say about Kate Winslet is there was space on the board. That is disrespectful. She is an Oscar-winning actress for that same performance. Can we please put some respect on Kate Winslet's name in this movie?
I mean, yeah, I'll carry on and say that I really think people should just now stop being in the game of not believing in James Cameron, because it's not healthy for you. I've said this so many times. And Avatar 2 is not going to make money. Shut the fuck up. I said this on podcast weeks before it came out. And, by the way, I'd just like to say, actress in a leading role, 2005, Kate Winslet was nominated. Just want to put that out there. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, nominated for leading role.
I that's really weird to me. I would have so good at supporting. Look, it is what it is, and I apologize. But
I think we've got a bit of an interesting wording of the topic as well, because if you've got a film that is being led by a woman, you can't say that Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is led by Kate Winslet. That film is very much led by, oh my God, what's his name? Jim Carrey. Yeah. But I mean, she was definitely a big enough part to, I suppose, be nominated for the leading actress category. But I don't think you can say she led the film.
I'd go with that. I'd say she was very much an important catalyst for why he is the way he is. But whether that merits being called the lead or not, well, the Oscars think she's a lead, and I have a lot of respect for them. But look, there's going back to a point, AJ. There's definitely something to add to what you've said. It literally says in the description of this video and of this podcast, the whole world, including us in the Movie Mount Rushmore podcast, is guilty of putting too much emphasis on the male performances and the male roles and the male directors. And that's part of what this episode is about, is shining some light, some needed fucking light on the women who often are not given their dues. And I think it's true what you're saying. And there is going to be a movie we bring up later where people are going to be, I know for a fact people are going to go, oh, but he was the star in that. I don't agree. He was the obvious in the movie we're going to talk about later. He was yes, very much the obvious person who your eye is drawn to. But it's like, AJ, it's like wrestling. Yes, if you're really good, you can make a broom look good. Yeah. But you still need the broom. You can't wrestle thin air. You still need the broom. In this case, I'm not likening Kate Winslet to a broom, or the woman I'm going to talk about later to a broom. But I'm saying it takes two to tango. You could be Daniel Day-Lewis. You still need Cameron Diaz and Gangs of New York to act off. You know, you need people to act off. And I don't think Kate Winslet, by any stretch of the imagination, is out-acted in any capacity in Titanic. I think she very much holds her own with DiCaprio. And I think because they're such powerhouse actors, the two of them, they share the screen time poetically together. Yeah, exactly. No, they're great together. So yeah, that was Kate Winslet at our number 7. I'm happy with this next one. In at number 6, I'm bringing Felicity Jones to the party. Are we having a punt there?
Not having a punt.
Oh, I'm so happy about this one. Felicity Jones in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Oh, it's so good. Do you know what? If you go back onto our channel right now and watch my review for Rogue One, I did not like this film when it came out. I really did not like this film when it came out at all, because I think it was mismarketed. They overpromised on things, and they took the focus away from the things that were important. The big thing was Darth Vader's back. Darth Vader's in it for 1 fucking minute. Like, people are, oh, but you feel his presence. No, you don't. You feel the Empire's presence throughout. And yes, is the scene see, I'm talking about a man here. Is the fucking scene in the corridor with him doing his badass lightsaber stuff amazing? Yes, it's amazing. But he's not the focus of the movie. And Disney tricked me. They said he's going to be a big focus of the movie. So I go in expecting like a prequel Darth Vader movie, sans Hayden Christensen. I'm supposed to be a happy man. I walk out going, it was 2.5 hours and I got 1 minute. What the fuck? Upon many rewatches, the film has just got progressively better and better and better and better. And I've seen what Gareth Edwards likes to do with his movies now. Just like he did with Godzilla, the guy loves a slow burn. He loves to like boil the water very slowly. And then he likes to crank it up in the final act and just make you go, sit down, I got you. Because, oh my God, does this movie stick the landing. And what the movie's guilty of, and that's why I've put Felicity Jones on here, is because what the movie's guilty of is that entering this movie, you already know that everyone is dying. This isn't a spoiler. If you've seen the 6 Star Wars movies, you know that everyone is toast in this movie. They are not making it out of this movie alive, right? So you have literally got 1 take to make these characters memorable. And I'll stand on this hill alone and say, other than Felicity Jones, I didn't, and K2SO, I love the fucking droid. But other than the droid and Felicity Jones, I didn't think the characters were memorable. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think Cassian Andor's a boring fuck.
Gonna have to disagree with you in a minute.
I know. I'm on a very, very small island here of people who think that. I am not a fan of Cassian Andor as a character. Chirrut Imwe is somewhat interesting. But again, as with many things, they've taken it too far. I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me. You're a meme. You've taken it too far. You are literally a meme now. But still cool in some aspects. But Felicity Jones was such a badass in this. I loved the kind of overdramatic story that you get with these great space fantasies. It's like, of course she's an orphan, except she's not. And of course, her father turns out to be the betrayer of the Empire. But then you have a bit of cheese in there. Stardust. You didn't need to do that. The Stardust thing was cheese on a stick. You did not need to do that. Despite the cheese and despite the characters surrounding her not being of the highest caliber, in my humble opinion, she was fucking awesome in this. And I want to see more of her. Where is Felicity Jones? I want to see more Felicity Jones in my life because she's a badass. She's a bona fide badass. I know you've got things that you want to add to this.
I do. I agree. Felicity Jones comes across as a badass in this. Rogue One was on my list kind of for a bit, but I took the tack in the end of weighing the performance more than the film. I love Rogue One. Love it. It's a really good sort of pushing off point for like the middle management of Star Wars, and I fucking love getting into the like other layers of this epic space fantasy sort of thing. But I think you get into a trap with a lot of Star Wars acting of being Star Wars acting,
Yes.
Of doing the like hyper melodramatic, hyper action, hyper like it doesn't take a lot to look like a badass, you know? But I mean, if you wear it well, you wear it well, and she wears it well. I do think you're giving Cassian a bit of a, I don't know.
Everyone does.
Yeah,
Everyone does.
yeah. I guess I don't need my 2 cents in there, but yeah.
Andy Hart is saying,
and yes,
Cassian
the
Andor is
TV
a better
show is
character.
better.
I turned off after 3 episodes. Went, I'm done.
It's so interesting.
How boring.
Ah, okay. Have you read Carl Marx's Capital?
I have not.
Okay, all right. Read that and then watch Andor, and we'll talk.
It's just people are saying it's the best Star Wars show I'm ever. I'm like, you know, the Mandalorian's a thing, yeah? Like, behave, everyone. Couldn't do it, dude.
I think they're just different. Like, they're entirely different genres. It's like they're trying to take all of the nitty gritty and the like sort of boring aspects of this, you know, we've said it 3 times now, epic space fantasy. And I find that concept, the concept of there being actual real people living in this world, so interesting. Because it doesn't take, you know, one good guy and one bad guy to create a space battle. It takes like little groups of outcast rebels fighting each other.
Sure.
And watching that happen, so interesting.
So why make the character so boring? It's like the mayor's, he's like emo man. I'm like, bro, just have a Coke and a smile for once, please. And it annoyed me because Andor took some risks in the Star Wars. Like, the show literally opens in a brothel. I'm like, okay, what are we doing? I'm intrigued, not just because it's a brothel and, you know, space titties, but because it's not something you would think Star Wars would do. You wouldn't think that, you know, the hyper kid-friendly Star Wars would do something that, by Star Wars' standards, risque. And yet here we are. And you've got Andor murdering people in cold blood in the first episode. And I'm like, I'm interested. What do you have? And then I saw episode 2 and 3. I went, bye, I'm done.
Well, here's the thing. So you stopped at episode 3?
Yes.
Because Andy is saying you need to get back to Andor. It's a totally different show after episode 4.
So why are the first 3 episodes there?
I don't know. I'm just out
what the fuck are we doing?
And Republic Productions.
It's called creating a context to build a story on.
Get there faster. Like, you don't need 3 hours to create context.
When you've got a whole TV show, you may as well.
That doesn't mean you should. Oh, look, Republic Productions and me are disagreeing. Shock horror.
Andor over Mandalorian.
No. Just no. But that's fine.
And Gavin lets us know that Mandalorian live back next month.
Yeah, so excited. Baby Yoda for the win. He's called Grogu. I know, thank you. Fucking other Star Wars fans get so like most toxic fans in the world. I really believe in that. Like, you say one thing, actually, he was from that era with this lightsaber. Shut up, please.
Do you know they have a central archive where everyone who has ever been in a Star Wars film and had like any sort of impact has to go to this archive, have their photo taken, and have everything written down about them. It's not the internet. It is a central Star Wars archive that is run by Star Wars, which I find fascinating.
No, we've just discovered the. No, you can't. We've just discovered the roots of Skynet.
Yeah.
Public Production says Mando season 2 is hot dog shit. Cool. That's how I feel about Andor. Moving on. Right. Andy says, Nico, it's a big arc. They get through the story of about 3 different shows, and we are only halfway through. Yeah, I don't care about him. I don't care about the character. So that was our number 6. Right, we are trading 1 apiece. Just before we do, a quick word from our sponsor. Hello, film family. Nico here from the Silver Screen Dudes, and I am here today to talk to you about Movie Palette. This beautiful piece of artwork that you can see in front of me here. Movie Palette is something that I think is going to be absolutely perfect and essential for our existing Silver Screen Dudes Movie Mount Rushmore film family. The geeks that exist in our community and the passion that you all have for film, I genuinely think this product is going to resonate with you. Here's how Movie Palette works. A movie palette is a distinctive way to enjoy your favorite movie displayed artistically on canvas. The movie palettes are carefully crafted by digital artists who choose the dominant colors from each scene of your favorite movie. These vibrant colors are arranged side by side in stripes on a high quality canvas. The stripes are displayed in chronological order, and the width of each corresponds to the length of the movie scene. The result is an intriguing piece of artwork that gives you a unique view of movies that you've seen many times before. This one I've got here happens to be from my favorite sci-fi movie, The Thing. And as you can see, we start off in the ice here, and we finish off all dark with Kurt Russell in the snow, just about to die. Is he the Thing? Is he not? The entire movie, scene by scene, is captured in this canvas. If you're not a fan of The Thing, don't sweat it. If you head on over to moviepalette.com now, and you click on the All the Movies tab, you will see that there are nearly 2,500 movie palettes already there from the world's most popular movies, including IMDb's top 250. There's even some TV shows in there. Can't find what you're looking for? Unlikely, but possible with the knowledge of our film community. Well, you can actually send Movie Palette the movie you love with the date that that movie was made in, and they will create a custom movie palette of the movie that you send them. And the best part is, as they are friends of the show, if you use code SILVER15 right now, you will be able to get 15% off all your orders from Movie Palette. So guys, honestly, this, as you can see from the live stream already, is hanging on the back of my wall. I love it. It's really added something to the streams. It's added something to my workspace. I can't recommend it enough. And as I've said already, given the type of audience that we have and the film fans that we have in our community and the attention to detail that we discuss every single week on the Movie Mount Rushmore podcast, I genuinely think you guys are going to love Movie Palette. So use code SILVER15 right now and get 15% off your orders and get a Movie Palette up on your wall. And now back to the show. And Pedro Santos has decided to join us. Opa, opa, opa. Great
very quickly, by the looks of it. Yeah.
Very quickly, but that's fine. Pedro, just leave that like before you leave, please, brother. Much appreciated. And Republic Production says, can I get one of those for North by Northwest? Yes, you can. Use code SILVER15 at checkout and get your discount, brother. Get on it. Give yourself a little late birthday present. Jazz, who is your number 5?
My number 5 is another, I guess, lead. We have Olivia Colman, and this was my Rachel Weisz.
Yes.
Is this a pun?
No. You took Rachel Weisz from us already.
Heck so, yeah. No, I was wondering if we were gonna punt this film because it's brilliant.
I wanted this film so much. It's the favorite. Okay.
Come on.
AJ doesn't like this movie.
Why? Why on earth? No, I would love to know in a second.
No, it's one of those things that I actually went in with the intentions of loving this film because I heard everything that Nick was saying about it in previous discussions. My girlfriend had seen it and wasn't a fan, and I shouldn't say I picked a side, but I picked a side. She was on the losing end, and I was like, no, I'm really. And again, Emma Stone is one of my I love an Emma Stone movie. I will run to an Emma Stone movie left, right, and center. And Rachel Weisz is also cool, and I've got no beef with Olivia Colman. But there was just something about it. It's not that I didn't like it; I just couldn't tune into the film properly. And I feel like I needed a rewatch. I was just like, "What is going on?" It's not. I don't want to call it a victim of overhype, but it wasn't what I was expecting from it to a degree. And I was just like, "It's not a bad." Excuse me. It's not a bad story, but it's just not grabbing me in the way that I was expecting it to. So that's where I'm at. I wouldn't say hate the film. It just didn't meet the expectation I previously had for it. And that's just where I'm at. By the way, Nick, just had to do a bit of research. Best Supporting Actress nominee in 2019 was Rachel Weisz for this film. So my argument stands as to why that film didn't count.
I would have gone for Olivia Colman to argue with you then, bro.
Well, then pick her, and then we could have had both.
Well, I fucked up, didn't I?
Right, over to you, Jazz. Sorry.
That's all right. No, Olivia Colman, absolutely. I mean, we don't need to talk about the Oscars. That sort of surprise win and then the fucking excellent speech. Can I swear?
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
She was brilliant. Loved her. I think the thing that did it for me with this film, so, I mean, The Favourite, set during the time of Queen Anne, it is essentially, I mean, it's based on the actual historical sort of people of the time who were around the court of Queen Anne. But it's sort of a grappling between cousins, one of whom is already the Queen's favourite, one of whom comes in after falling on hard times and attempts to sort of claw her way up in the world. And I think the thing that really caught me about The Favourite was we never know how anyone feels about any of the other characters. It's all so underhanded and shifty, and like everyone is acting someone who is acting genuine, that it's intriguing. And it pulls me the whole way to try and figure out what everyone is actually feeling towards each other, especially in the trio of Queen Anne, Lady Marlborough, and Emma Stone's character, the cousin. And yeah, I think that's what really caught me about this. Then there's, of course, Olivia Colman, who is brilliant in this. I don't think she's really ever done anything like it before. I couldn't remember her having done anything like it, but I might be mistaken.
The Queen? Oh, the Crown, rather?
Yes, this was before The Crown.
Okay.
This was 2018, so I think she would have been filming The Crown after that, probably. But she plays this head of state who is such a child. But still, I mean, where I would find that sort of characterization incredibly annoying, in most instances, I'd find her charming and I pity her the whole way through as well. It's this great sort of deep performance of someone who is at this unattainable level of society, dealing with people who are trying to get to that level of society, but not really knowing what's going on. It's just fantastic.
It really is. It's Olivia Colman, man. Like, if she carries on the way she's going, she's going to start getting in that conversation with Frances McDormand, Cate Blanchett, and Helen Mirren and Meryl Streep, you know? Like, she's on that trajectory. It just seems that every freaking year we get to award season, it's like, Best Leading Actress, Olivia Colman. Best Leading Actress, Olivia Colman. Best Supporting Actress, Olivia Colman. She's always in the discussion now. She is a powerhouse. And I love what you said there, Jazz, the way she's playing both like this childlike character, but who has to exert authority. It's such an interesting balance that she had to play as an actress to portray that. I freaking love this movie. AJ, I'm going to go on a limb here and say you haven't seen any of other Yorgos Lanthimos' movies, have you?
No.
Okay. He's very weird.
Yes, incredibly weird. The Lobster.
Yes, great film.
And is he Killing of a Sacred Deer as well? I think.
Is that not Milos Forman? You may be right. Okay. IMDb is your friend.
Lobster. I will add that to my to see list.
It's on Netflix. It's weird. Be warned, it's weird. Killing of a Sacred Deer. No, it is Yorgos. You're quite right.
Killing of a Sacred Deer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very weird.
They're films. They're films that haunt you. They stick around in your head and they sort of stay there, and you find yourself thinking about it like a week later, going like, I wonder what they meant by this particular bit. Yeah.
Every single
very
movie
cool.
that Robert Eggers has ever made, basically. The Witch, The Lighthouse, and The Northman. Oh my God, linger. Cool. So AJ, what that means, we've got to talk about our punt, our Rachel Weisz movie.
Rachel Weisz, yes, please.
Yes.
AJ, this one is this is you. I'm afraid this is you, and that is Andy. Don't worry, it's disobedience.
Disobedience. Yeah. So it's really funny when you brought up the Philomena part and you were talking about the whole Christianity and Catholics and all the stuff that happens here, because this actually focuses on the Jewish community. And I just found it so weird how it was one after the other that followed in terms of our ranking without it actually being... It was just pure coincidence, actually. So this is the story of Rachel Weisz's character. I saw this a few years back, but it stuck with me in the film. Who comes back to the UK following her father's death. And you can see that she's been extradited, essentially, from the Orthodox Jewish community that she lives in, that she's a part of. Because we're not too sure what's going on, but she has a very close relationship with Rachel McAdams, who's married to... I believe is it her friend or her cousin? It's been a while since I've seen this film, so bear with me. But that's there. So they were a bit of a trio, but you can see that these two are really close. And it actually turns out that they were actually lovers. So Rachel McAdams and Rachel Weisz were in a relationship prior, and I think it just got too close, and it was frowned upon within the Orthodox Jewish community, and that's why she left, because she doesn't meet the status quo of what they expect of people within that community and whatnot. And her coming back into town just sparks up a whole load of old emotions, and it starts to tread waters of if they should get back. I don't want to get into a spoiler territory, but you can start to see that they get closer. Do they get back together? Do they not? Do they follow their heart? Do they follow religion? There's a lot of that question that comes up in it. And I just remember seeing it and thought it was an absolutely amazing movie. It's one that stuck with me since I've seen it. Yeah, that's the one for me for Rachel Weisz. Anytime I hear Rachel Weisz, as much as I've always fascination with The Mummy and other films that she's won. Yeah, this one I was like, wow. I've seen her in many stuff, but this really sticks out to me as a Rachel Weisz movie.
Andy Hart says, "I'm sorry I ever doubted you." Good, Andy. Do you know what? I appreciate a man who has the gall to say my bad. Most people don't.
No, it's true. It's true.
Most people don't have the testicular fortitude to just put their hands up and go, my bad. Respect, Andy.
No, thank you for that, Andy. And yeah, it's there. And again, Nick, I thought I know for a fact it's on BritBox, but I was shocked to see it's on Disney Plus. So if you haven't seen, well, I know you've not seen it, bro. Give it a shot. It's a great film.
Jazz, have you seen this one?
Have not seen it, but I will be watching it.
Yes,
on Disney Plus. Really on it. So that was Jazz's 5 and our 8, which we had punted on. So our 5. Our 5, we are bringing Helen Mirren to the party. Is that a punt, Jazz?
Not a punt.
Okie dokie, AJ, it's all you.
Okay, it's on me again. Eye in the Sky. Whew. Oh my days, what a film. Mm-hmm. What a film. And I only saw this a couple of days ago. And it was one when the Silver Screen dudes first started, way before Pod, and we were trying YouTube out for the first time around. We were running to Cineworld every 2 minutes and trying to catch all the films. And I remember seeing the trailer for this film and thinking I need to see it. But for some reason, it didn't get the best runtime in the cinema and completely missed it. And I've forever wanted to watch it. You just don't get the time. You forget where it's at. This topic came up and I was like, there's that Helen Mirren movie. What was it? And for the longest while, I was like, it's called Eagle Eye. I'm doing that. I'm seeing Shia LaBeouf. I'm like, no, it's not that. What's the name of this film?
I like Eagle Eye.
I'm going through IMDb trying to find it. And the minute I found it, I was like, right, let's go. Let's see what's available. And so thankful that it was just there on YouTube, on Netflix. And I just love this film. It's all about Helen Mirren as a high-ranked army member. I can't remember if it's general, colonel, whatever, who essentially is on a capture mission, on a mission to capture a group of terrorists. It's not an assassination by any means. They're meant to take these people, bring them in for questioning. One of them being a UK convert, someone who's converted to Islam from the UK. And as they're doing that, they realize that there's an opportunity. Well, they realize the arranged place where they were meant to meet has been slightly compromised. Certain people were meant to be there or arriving. They're already there. And now they start to follow them as they're going off to a new journey. And now they find out that they have got they've got a load of bombs and they're going to carry out a few suicide missions, and they're about to go to eliminate them, but it comes into all the procedures of if they're allowed to take the shot. It's there. It will save lives, but the impact. There's a person who's of US descent, so you have to get clearance from the US government. You need clearance from the foreign secretary. You need clearance from the prime minister. All of these elements come into it, and now that they've got full clearance to it, and they're about to take the shot, there's a young girl who is in the blast radius, and her being in that blast radius poses more questions. And it's a question of, can you take the shot? Is it worth sacrificing this young girl's life for the greater good of everyone there? What are the fallouts that, even if you do save these lives, what is the fallout of being part of the government? If this video leaks and you can see that there was an innocent child there and you've taken the shot and you've killed her, the tension that came on this film for me, I was the goosebumps even talking about this film again. I was blown away. Absolutely love this film, and Helen Mirren just delivers. And it's amazing how cold. When I first had this list, I had Helen Mirren down as the queen.
Yeah,
God's honest truth. By the time I saw this film, I was like, you have the determination, the grit behind her character in this film was amazing. Absolutely loved it.
I'm only going off of memory for this one, so I can't talk about it with as much passion as you. But it was literally yesterday, wasn't it? Where I was like, hang on, Eye in the Sky. They bombed. Something happens to the kid, right? Yeah. And you're like, that one. I'm like, oh yes, this is a very, very good movie.
And to answer your question, Gavin, yes, this is. I think Alan Rickman done a voiceover in another film, in an animation, but this is the last actual film Alan Rickman is featured in. So at the end of the film, it does say "dedicate in memory of Alan Rickman" or "dedicated to our friend Alan Rickman." Yeah,
I missed that motherfucker, man. God, he was good. God, he was good. Jazz, it is back over to you with your number 4. Who are you bringing to the party?
This one is a little off kilter, I've got to admit. I am bringing Annis Elwy to the party, who is a Welsh actress. This is for the 2021 film The Feast. This film played at the London Film Festival 2022. It's a Welsh language film. It is the only Welsh language film I've ever seen. But it is a thriller/horror that plays more like a sort of mythological revenge film. It's very good. So Annis plays in this film a sort of hired out serving girl. It's modern time setting. She's going to help out at a house party, a sort of dinner party for a local MP who is discussing tearing down a local hill/forest, the drill. And Annis comes in as the serving girl, who is actually sort of the spirit of the area, who is coming to enact revenge on the MP and the guests at this dinner party for their plans to destroy this like dark mythological area of the Welsh landscape. And I'm a big fan of thriller horror movies. This film is so unsettling, and the way she plays this character is so horrifying. Nice. It sent chills up my spine just watching her walk through this movie as this like unseen monster. And I think it's sort of absurd in a weird way. I think if you were to go off and watch this and go into it thinking that it was a horror/thriller film, you might come out of it thinking, oh, well, that was a bit like over the top melodramatic, like the effects are a bit sort of unbelievable. But I think it plays better as an absurdist rendering of everything that's happening. I mean, like in this film, there's cannibalism. It came through with that like great wave of cannibalism over the last couple of years. Right. Someone gets like chopped off at the ankles or feet or knees or something and is dragging themselves around, like spilling this bright red blood everywhere. It's just great fun if you're into thriller, and she's fantastic. Anna Selway.
Oh,
Interesting.
absurdism. Oh, you are right. Saying all the right things to me there, Jazz.
Great. I would highly recommend it. It was one of my like top films that I saw.
Now, would you agree, or would you? I don't know if it's something to agree on or not. Would you say that this very much falls into what they call like haute horror, elevated horror, which isn't just there to do the cheap jump scares? It's actually there to talk about a taboo topic and make you think.
Yes, absolutely.
This a bit of me. AJ, I know what I'm watching tonight. How easy or hard is this movie to find?
I'm not sure. I will admit I didn't look for it again since this, but it looks like
it's an AJ vision.
Here we go. Andy said something. It's on the BFI player.
So it's an AJ vision. Okay, cool. So, inside joke, Jazz. Whenever something's not on one of the main streaming services, AJ has his means of finding movies, so we call it AJ vision.
Yeah, fair enough. It might be a bit more difficult to get a hand on, but worth it if you can.
Sell the 7 Seas. Bay somewhere. Yeah.
No, this sounds right up my street. Thank you for that one, Jazz.
You're welcome.
Watching that one tonight. Yes, AJ, elevated horror. You know that my jam, boy.
I know.
You know that's all about me. Right. Jazz, our 4, it was the punt from earlier. So we'll go first because obviously the movie's higher for us. It's Julie Andrews, and let's bring my man here back on.
You are allowed to talk, bro.
It's your pick. Mary Poppins.
What can we say? Mary Poppins.
It's an all-timer.
It's an all-time classic, and it's Julie Andrews, the all-time classic actress. It just feels like the blend. I will be honest, I was very torn between that and your pick, Jazz. I was.
The same.
It scares me so much, and I was like, you know what? I really like your pick, and it's a newer film to me, and I think that's what tipped it. I was like, I've been following Mary Poppins' journey for a much longer time. It's to my discredit that film yours came later on, and it was just the magic of that nanny. And I'll be honest, someone else has done this. I'm not going to mention the actress in case she's on your list, but has done the sequel to that film, and it just didn't hit as well to me. I didn't say I didn't enjoy it.
It was better than people gave it credit for, though.
I give it respect, but to me, there's only one Miss Poppins.
Oh yes.
Yeah. it's found in the original, and that's the magic of Mary Poppins. And Julie Andrews just brings that character to life in such a way that, as much as someone else done it, she just proved. You know, where everyone was like, Jack Nicholson is the Joker and he can't be replaced. Then along comes Heath Ledger, and then comes Phoenix. This one shows that there is only but one. With the highest respect to anyone who tries to come along, we only have one Mary Poppins.
Until we don't.
Well, yeah, look, someone will come along eventually, but as it currently stands, there is only one winner.
Watch Alicia Vikander squash this shit. You know she could too.
She could. The same way you're a bit defensive about who should play Bond, I'm going to wave the flag that I would like to see a Brit maintain the position of Mary Poppins.
Hell yeah.
Just a personal beef. So Alicia Vikander wouldn't qualify.
I'm fine with that. She wouldn't qualify, although she does like a freaking perfect British accent. Alicia Vikander.
I'm not going to argue with that either. But yeah.
But I can rock with that. It has to be a Brit.
Yeah.
Want me to really annoy Jazz now?
Oh, really? Go on.
No.
Oh, I could do
hold on. While you do, go. Just take full screen while you do.
I'm pretty sure this is going to piss you off something rotten. Dream casting for Mary Poppins. I don't believe this, by the way. This is pure banter. Emma Watson.
Really? Really? Oh.
I don't believe in the words coming out of my mouth right now. I just want you to be
okay. Good.
I'm not a fan of
where has this come from?
Because I know you fucking hate her.
Oh, I mean, okay, I don't hate her. I don't
we've
hate
changed.
her. I'm not a fan. I'm gonna leave it diplomatically at that. She was never ever in contention to be on this list. Let's just say that.
No, I'm with you on that.
I agree. I agree with AJ. I love Mary Poppins. I think it's a classic movie, classic character. It is never going to age. I was like dismayed, along with probably a lot of people, when they did make a second one, because I was just like, why do we need a second Mary Poppins? This film is not going anywhere. Like, but I think when I came down to it, thinking about Julie Andrews, I think she gives a better performance in The Sound of Music. This was my number 7, sorry. It just required a bit more depth of character for me, playing playing in a time of almost war, pre-war, coming into a situation where she is doesn't have the upper hand. She's trying to find her way in the world. She's come from a convent, for God's sake. And I think Mary Poppins, she comes across just kind of playing super nanny the whole time, which I love. She does it really well. And like, as a child and as an adult, I will always have nostalgia for the Mary Poppins and like love for that character. But I think Maria required a bit more of Julie Andrews. That's the only reason why I put Sound of Music on my list instead of Mary Poppins.
She swayed me, you know.
I think it was sentimental value. Honestly, sentimental value is what won. But sorry.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I just need to let you know that where Nick tried to wind you up with Emma Watson as Mary Poppins, Gavin had your back straight away and says, Will Ferrell as Bert.
Francis Lalonde is fucking with me too. Daniel Craig is Bert. Why? Leave me alone. Like,
Daniel Craig is Mr. Banks. Excuse me.
get out. Daniel Craig, never again. Never again. Never. No.
To answer Mixed Memorabilia's question, no, I'm actually going to add that to my list of films I've not seen.
Say nothing, Jazz.
Mm.
Say nothing. We'll get to that. Listen, I actually agree with everything you've said about The Sound of Music. Now, obviously when we get to the point of which has more memorable songs, it is so fucking hard to distinguish. Like,
truly,
supercalifragilisticexpialidocious or doe deer, a female deer. Which way do you swing? I think they both taste great. You know, it's like Julie Andrews is an icon. I love her. I hail the ground she walks on. She's a goddess. Thank you for giving me these two movies and making my childhood a better place because of it. I say no more. Right. What have we got there? Did you want to add anything to The Sound of Music, Jazz, or are you good there?
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Cool. So that was... You're actually staying on, sorry, because although it was our number 4, we then circled to you for that was lower down for you. It's now your 3.
Yes. So my number 3, coming in at number 3, is Florence Pugh in Midsommar.
I have so many questions to ask you about this. Carry on.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. I think this film is brilliant. I love anything that's going to leave me feeling like I need to look over my shoulder. Anything that like leaves me feeling or wondering how far a person can be pushed before they break, which I think is what Florence does in this film. I think it is an incredibly difficult character to pull off, and I found the whole thing entirely believable, which is wild because, like, at the end of the film, she sets people on fire, you know? Like, it's sort of thinking, how far can the psyche really take everything that the world is throwing at them before, it breaks. Do we need to describe Midsommar? Thriller? Have you guys talked about it before?
So, do you know what? It was Midsommar has been one of those movies that I have wanted to see for the longest time. The questions I have, I keep hearing very polar opposite opinions of it. Not the usual it's good, it's bad. Some people call it a comedy, some people call it a horror. Now, what I try to do is stay away from horror comedies because they usually end up in the realm of slapstick.
Mm-hmm.
What is this movie?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a comedy. I think the people calling it a comedy are the people who look at the insane situation that the characters are in this movie and think that it is funny or meant to be portrayed as funny. But I think what it is trying to do is take a look at different sort of subsections of culture and see how different people can see things as being normal. And I think the sort of the thesis of the film is that really and truly, when we get down to it, we are all made up of these basic things that can either hurt us or like make us happy. And when really pushed to it, we can all find understanding in that. There are particular parts of Midsommar that I think particularly would come across as comedy if you weren't buying into this film. And it is something that you need to buy into. There are some interesting moments between particularly the group of female characters and like specific men, and the group of female characters and Florence Pugh that I like play back in my mind and think, yes, I found that incredibly moving. Someone else watching this with a different like context or background to me, who isn't like there for the ride, would laugh at this. Yes.
And it's happening literally in the comment section right now as you're talking. So this is what I mean. There are such polarizing opinions about this film. Obviously, I'm going to go and see it and make my own mind up about it.
It's on Netflix, by the way, in case you didn't know.
Is it actually?
Yeah, I was just checked it now. It's on Netflix.
Jazz, what do I watch tonight? Midsommar or The Feast?
The Feast.
Okay, I'll watch The Feast. Riri Thomas says, Nico, saw your review of The Whale and I agree completely. Saw it today and made me cry a lot. Amazing acting, my heart. Oh, God, that movie. Fuck me, that movie. If you have not seen The Whale, please go and watch that movie. Riri Thomas says, all I have to say is people are amazing. That's the part of the movie I disagreed with. People are assholes inherently. Not you guys, just the wider world. People annoy me, mostly. Francis Lalonde says, I'm not a fan of Midsommar, was expecting updated Wicker Man, but didn't have as much quirkiness except that final scene inside the barn temple. Andy Hart says, I was torn between Lady Macbeth and Midsommar for Florence Pugh.
That's fair. She's fantastic as Lady Macbeth as well. Yeah.
Florence Pugh is a goddess in the making. I love her. She's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, also love her in Little Women. She's just everything I've seen so far. She's played different characters and just floored me.
That Little Women remake caught me off guard so much because I actually really like the old one, which has got Winona Ryder and co in it. This new one I thought was sensational. It's to have literally the same movie redone with two great casts and they're both great. Like, yay, we all win at life then. Gavin Mann says, really like Florence Pugh in particular. The limited series, The Little Drummer Girl, wasn't really into The Wonder. I fell away from it the longer it went on. Great actress all the same. She is. She really fucking is. Yeah. Gavin Mann says, gave The Whale a thumbs down. Gavin, my heart, what are you doing to me, bro? Gav. Cool. All right, Jazz.
Andy thinks you're like Midsommar, by the way.
Huh?
Andy believes you're like Midsommar. Nico, I think you're like Midsommar. Lots of layers, lots to unpack. That sounds like it, Nico.
My jam. I'll check that out. So Jazz, that was your 3, yes?
That was, yes.
Cool. Yay. Mine. Is it me? Yes. No. AJ. Who's 3? Both of us. Fuck it. We'll both go. Cool. Number 3. Let's bring Audrey Hepburn to the party because come on, it's Audrey Hepburn. And, we've been talking about, we were talking about Julie Andrews just now and which role do you pick? Audrey Hepburn has a plethora of great movies. We could have gone Roman Holiday. We could have gone Breakfast at Tiffany's. For me, there's only one. It's My Fair Lady. I freaking adore this movie so much. Yes, it's lengthy. Yes, and there are points where you do feel that length. It has got some pacing issues to it, but the performances are so timeless. The fact that Audrey can hold a screen with actors of the caliber of Rex Harrison and outshine them, like, this isn't even a debate. She is such a scene-stealing, scene-grabbing, scene-eating bottle of lightning in a bottle of energy. I can't speak highly enough about her. Listen, it's a universal story, isn't it? You start with nothing, you end up with something, you find out who you really are, you find out what's important to you. These are all themes that are universal and that we should all be aspiring to. Let's find out who we really are. Take away the layers of social etiquette, take away the layers of money, which is what everyone puts importance on now, and find the humanity in other people and find the humanity in ourselves and actually try and enjoy life through the prism of humanity, not through the prism of capitalism, which is what the movie ultimately gets to in the end.
It's giving someone a chance, just giving someone a chance and seeing what they can do with it as well, I think is, another underlying factor in it as well. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you in mid-flow. Yeah, it's there. But there is one thing I'm going to say. So, Gavin, you asked, where's Keira Knightley on my list? Yeah, she didn't make it. But what I will say, and this is, I've said this, as much as I'm not a big fan of Breakfast at Tiffany's, it's one of those films that didn't really hit me.
You're not alone.
Audrey Hepburn is the biggest form of magnetism I can ever explain on the screen. There was something, I will say it, Roman Holiday, it just mesmerized me to a degree. And as Eliza Doolittle, should I say, in My Fair Lady, there was just something charismatic, magnetic. And when I say attracting, I'm not saying she's not attractive, but you're just attracted to. You cannot lose focus when it comes to this person. There's something I don't have the words exactly. I had a friend. Oh my God, I haven't spoken to her in a few years actually. Lucy, and I remember her always saying to me like, "Yeah, Audrey Hepburn," and I was like, "Yeah, I get it." And the more I watched the films, I was like, "I get it now." That Audrey Hepburn is the definition of je ne sais quoi. I don't have the words, but it's there. it's just always scene-stealing performances. I think is my way.
Audrey Hepburn is sadly also the definition of toxic fandom, because you know how people sometimes now hate people in the modern age just because they're either pretty or successful or good at what they do. Like people who say, "I hate Anne Hathaway." I'm like, why? What has she ever done that so offended you to your core? Like, the hate I see online for Anne Hathaway is on another level. And I'm like, why? Because she's pretty, talented, and infinitely likable, so she's just too perfect for you? Like, leave Anne alone. Now, Will Ferrell, we can fucking talk about. Anne Hathaway, though. Anne Hathaway is wonderful. And you can trace this. Like, the hatred, the equal to the love and reverence that she had, the hatred that followed Audrey Hepburn around everywhere was nuts. Like, you read articles about how she had to be careful, not because she would be mobbed, but because she would be pelted. People were throwing shit at her coming out of her hotel. Why? Because you're pretty and famous. I'm like, what is wrong with people? Seriously. Like, because she's really good at what she does and she happens to be attractive, you're going to pelt her with tomatoes? Come on. This is like the core start of toxic fandom. It's not a good thing.
In some ways, I'm very glad that we're now all online with our fandom and not pelting our actors with things in real life anymore. I will say with Audrey Hepburn, love My Fair Lady as a show. Fantastic film as well. I think that, I know the stage show came first because they had this was part of the reason why I couldn't have Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady on my list, but the battle between Julie Andrews and Audrey Hepburn for the lead in this role, because Julie Andrews had played the lead on stage on the West End and had been touted for the lead role in this film, and eventually ended up losing out to Audrey Hepburn, who then had her voice dubbed for the songs in the film. That was a little bit of a area of contention, but I'll agree. Audrey Hepburn in other films is phenomenal. I agree. Je ne sais quoi. There's just something about watching her on the screen that just keeps you
it's star power. She's got that special thing that everyone in Hollywood looks for. Like, you can have all the talent in the world. This is literally the debate AJ and I, well, not a debate because we agree with each other on this, but it's the comment we put out constantly. You have actors like thespians and you have stars. Sometimes you have both, like they get both, like Audrey Hepburn. In her case, she has both. But the stars, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, is not a good actor, but my God, is he a star? You know,
yeah, I'll agree with that.
He's such a star. Like, and Audrey Hepburn has that same je ne sais quoi, or I should say, Arnie has that same je ne sais quoi as Audrey, because, you know, let's give credit where it's due. Obviously, she has the acting chops that he lacks, but she's the total package, man. Although I have to say, I did not know she had the songs were dubbed. I had no clue about that.
Know that, which makes me lean with what Andy said
controversy.
to our battle. We should have gone Roman holiday.
Welcome to the Movie Mount Rushmore Podcast, or Jazz ruins our favorite movies.
And Nick just came out. We put My Fair Lady, and my whole thing was, I don't care as long as Audrey Hepburn's on the list, and that was the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't actually know about the dubbing either, so that's quite an eye opener. Yeah,
happened all the time back then.
It's really bad. It's really bad. Why don't we give the roles to people who can do the stuff?
Yeah.
That was eloquent. Do the stuff.
Why not? When they can do the stuff.
Hey man, do the thing, the stuff. Just come on. Like, that wasn't most eloquent. Jazz, we are over to you then.
Gavin was asking, he picked Charade. Has anyone seen that, or I've not seen it?
Wasn't under consideration for me, Gav. Jazz, we are over to your doubly deuce.
My number 2. Awesome. This is
who's
yes, a co lead actress again in Emma Thompson and Kate Winslet for Sense and Sensibility. Now, I'm going to say Emma Thompson.
Emma Thompson's not your number 1. Holy shit.
Not my number 1. No, I know. She was for ages. Like, you basically asked me to do this episode, and I started writing a list, and my list was number 1, Emma Thompson, Sense and Sensibility. And it stayed that way for so long. And we'll find out why it isn't that way in a second. But Sense and Sensibility, another Jane Austen. As I said earlier, I have never read a Jane Austen novel. I was persuaded to see this film by my girlfriend, who is a Jane Austen fan. Really, she's an English literature fan and is appalled by the fact that I've never read Austen. But we did watch this film, and I think the thing that really sells this version of Sense and Sensibility, which is another one of the, like, you know, everyone falls in love and then they're mistaken falling in loves, and eventually they end up with people you didn't expect them to end up with in the first place. But hello, Seti, this is my cat. She really likes shadows at the moment, so please excuse.
Seti named after the Egyptian god, yes?
Named after the Egyptian pharaoh, who is named after the Egyptian god, yes. Anyway, Sense and Sensibility.
That's amazing. Carry on.
So I think the thing that really does it for me for this specific version of Austen is that Emma Thompson really takes a different view from the novel that I think would be the easy sort of direction to take with an Austen adaptation, in that she finds the relationship between the sisters far more interesting than the sort of like waif-like romantic novelization-y characters falling in love with the like big strong Englishmen from the countryside types, you know? So where that would be maybe the focus of other adaptations, Emma Thompson's adaptation really dug into what it was to be sisters trying to marry well, which could really make a big difference to families at that time, but also not lose their sisterly relationship in the middle of all of that. And I think that she originally, so she adapted this for screen, and Ang Lee directed. She did not want to be in Sense and Sensibility. She thought she was too old to play one of the sisters in this film. And to be fair, she kind of was technically too old, but she plays it very young, and really matches Kate Winslet's like energy, being part of the same family. You really, really believe that these two girls have like grown up together, know each other, and are able to sort of see where each of them are making poor decisions for themselves before the other one can realize it. It's really good to watch them play off each other. And even if you don't like romantic movies or the like, watch it. You might get something out of it. I did.
I know. Yeah, listen, I just can't relate when people say I don't like romantic movies. I'm like, why? Like, do you not love? Do you not aspire to love? Have you never been loved? It's all romance. And even if we're not talking the pure, traditional, unadulterated romance, like, poetic romance, if you will. I don't mean like, and I'm not talking about reciting fucking poesy here. I'm talking about, Jazz, you're better at this than me. Describe what I mean by poetic romance.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think romance in like a romantic sense, like the traditional romantic sense, is important. And it is something that our souls sort of need in a way. I think romantic films that are cheesy and play characters as two-dimensional and play out as a plot of a film that wouldn't ever sort of happen in real life, that is the sort of thing I'm tired of. Yes. I need to be able to believe a character. I need to be able to believe like when they're feeling loss or when they are actually falling in love. And as long as I can do that, fine, sign me up for a romance. It's just that I don't ever see a romance film coming out of Hollywood and think, oh yeah, that's going to do what I want with a romance. I'll see it. I have to be like persuaded into it.
Have you seen Babylon?
I have not.
Damien Chazelle's new movie. Highly recommended. Very untraditional romance. Very untraditional.
Excellent.
Andy Hart says, do you guys know who directed this movie? One of your favorites. Fuck off, Andy. Ang Lee has hurt us too many times.
Oh, God. Oh. Ouch.
Ang Lee has
It's all right. Emma had the reins in this. Right. It's fine.
Okay. I hope so. You convinced me.
Usually, AJ sees directed by Ang Lee, and next movie. Change.
Yeah, all right.
He did the Hulk, and he did Gemini Man. He's done some bad stuff.
Yeah. He's hurt me along the way. But he also done what is it? Man, Woman, Eat, Drink. I can't remember the order of it, but that was a good film that I was shocked was Ang Lee. So he can deliver, but it's more miss than hit. So yeah. That's just what I feel about it.
So our number 2. Oh, I'm looking forward to this one. I was batting for this to be number 1, and AJ vetoed me because basically our number 1 we both had. So a rule, Jazz, is that when we've both had a movie, it usually makes the Rushmore. And in this case, because we haven't talked about the Rushmore yet, because it's a 3-way discussion this week, we both had a movie on, and it was like, well, that's number 1 then, isn't it? By process of elimination, we both had this movie on our list and only this one, so number 1 it goes. I fought so hard for this to be number 1, and AJ told me to go and stick it where the sun don't shine. But oh my giddy aunt, do I love this movie. And do you remember earlier when we were talking about Winslet and DiCaprio, and I was like, yes, he's a powerhouse, but it takes a powerhouse to hold the screen time with him. Yeah. So let's talk about the all-time powerhouse, Marlon Brando, and the woman who held screen time with him and gave him something to play off, because without her, he doesn't have the fucking performance of a lifetime. Vivian Leigh in A Streetcar Named Desire. Oh my giddy fucking aunt, this performance. Oh. Now, AJ, back when we talked about movies about mental health difficulties, I think we phrased it something like that. Something along those lines. Really good episode. There's all sorts of shit going on with Vivian Leigh with Vivian Leigh's character in this movie. But what is so wonderful because this is so old school, because you just wouldn't get this in Hollywood, because they'd want to take a fucking sledgehammer and hit you over the head and go, feel. This is what we're trying to tell you. Get the meaning, because it's really soft. It's really complicated, and we don't trust you as an audience to be able to understand what we're telling you because you're all dumb. Mostly true, but the movie should still give us an iota of confidence to be able to understand what's being said. That's why French neorealism works so well. But back in the old days, movies trusted their audiences, and it's exemplified perfectly in A Streetcar Named Desire, because they're not telling you in some unnecessary fucking exposition, this character suffers from XYZ, and you're going to see it on display now. No, go. Girl down on her luck, Blanche Dubois. Girl down on Blanche Dubois. Sorry, I'm not going mad, am I? I just had a bit of a Gone with the Wind moment. No, that's Scarlett. Blanche Dubois goes to her sister, who's dating a very, very, very strong-willed Polak, played by Marlon Brando, called Kowalski. And my God, when you want to talk about unstoppable force and immovable object, Vivian Leigh in this case being the immovable object, oh my God, the collision, the emotional, human, real collision that these two have, of her trying to keep a facade up of being something that she's not, and him seeing right through her and calling her out on it, but not taking into account what calling her out on it will do to her actual psyche. Oh my God.
I'm going to be honest, I'm really gutted that I didn't get a chance to finish this film. I have started it, and time has not been on my side to finish it. Vivian Leigh for me was going to be Gone with the Wind. That's where I thought she was absolutely stellar. But I saw the passion you had for this film, and that's why I didn't back for it. Have you actually seen Gone with the Wind by any chance?
Still, the 5 hours of it? No, I'm afraid still not.
Fair enough. And that's why I didn't even. That's another reason when we started to collate our films, and you were like Vivian Leigh, I was like, yeah, I can't ask you to watch this before the pod. So I'll just accept Streetcar Named Desire, and we'll try. I was hoping to have watched it to agree with you, but yeah.
Daddy Goo has a baby girl who does not permit him time for 5-hour movies anymore.
Right.
Lord of the Rings is now when she's gone to Granny's for a few days at Christmas, and it's like, let's watch the Fellowship of the Ring quick.
I hear you, bro. I hear you.
Go for it. This movie is such a fucking all-timer. It's so underappreciated as a film too. Like, it's one of those, I kind of feel like it's almost for some reason fallen by the wayside, because you just don't see people talking about this film anymore. And if you like movies, I cannot stress this enough. It is such a must see. Jazz.
Yes. Streetcar Named Desire, my God. I think it is what she has done here, and what Brando has also done in this film as well. But what she has done is created a sort of quintessential portrayal of the character, which is something that doesn't happen often, especially with Tennessee Williams. Like, the number of times Tennessee Williams gets thrown onto a stage somewhere, and all you see is a rehashing of some aspect of Vivian Leigh's Blanche Dubois. It's a phenomenal performance. It's wonderful. I think she very much does lead the movie, despite like Brando's like energy that he brings to it. She's absolutely the lead, sort of moving everything forward. What I will say, which is, it's very interesting timing, there is a production on that is moving to the West End of A Streetcar Named Desire currently, that has someone famous in it whose name I always forget. But what they've done is something very interesting, in that they've taken what Tennessee Williams had originally intended for the characters of Blanche and Stella, and really played out. Again, it's another like sisterly relationship. They're really not as interested in the relationship between Blanche and
Kowalski.
Oh my God, Kowalski. Thank you. They're more interested in the sisterly relationship, and also making you feel like the relationship between Stella and Kowalski is real, Whereas I think a lot of the time you can look at that sort of relationship and think, oh, well, that's toxic. She needs to get out of there. Or like there's something going wrong there. What they've done is they've been like, no, this is a real life sort of situation that people can get into. And yes, she can be happy. And they're really trying to focus on that versus also the sisters loving each other, but one sister really not approving of what's going on there. And it's one of the first times I've seen this and not thought, oh, that's just Vivian Leigh again, and that's just Marlon Brando. Which, yeah, if you've got the time or are able to get to London in the next few months, it's worth a watch.
I actually may go and check that out because it would be quite fresh to see those characters portrayed without my mind being gone, yeah, but you're not Marlon Brando, and yeah, you're not Vivian Leigh. Those performances. Do you know what I love? Do you know what I freaking love about these kind of written as plays that become movies? Jazz, did you see a film last year called The Outfit?
No.
Mark Rylance. So it also was written as a play, but produced as a movie. I think it is such an astonishing work of art when you can kind of, as a fan, pull the curtain back and see, okay, you clearly were designed as a play, but yet here we are with you as a movie, and yet you're working. You're all set in one location. I'm not seeing the stage constantly changing to reflect how the area is changing. It's a feat of brilliance when it works. In A Streetcar Named Desire, like, poor, 2 thumbs way up from me. Right. Jazz, it is time. Oh, before we bring it back over to you, guys, if you could all please, if you haven't done so already, I've seen we've got a few comments started, but if you haven't done so already, Andy, Gavin, Billy Mount, Francis, Mixed Memorabilia, Den the Tech, sorry if I'm missing names, Republic Productions, RJ Skarenki, everyone who's here tonight, please could you guys drop either your top 10s or your Rushmores down into the comment section. And while you're down there, guys, please do remember to give the video a like if you haven't done so already. It helps YouTube like us and it makes us smile. Right, Jazz, just
going to touch on it too much, just because we was on your number 2, Jazz, with Emma Thompson. Have you seen this little gem that came out? Good luck.
No, I wanted to. Yes. I wrote it down as I must see this before I join you guys on the podcast, but I didn't manage to get to it. And in the end, I was just like, well, Emma Thompson's on my list twice already. I really shouldn't. But it's on there. I want to see it.
This was the punt. This was the
that essentially that was the punt.
Gotcha.
It's a film I saw in the cinema and it blew me away. I've touched it quite a few times. It would have been much higher. Had it been an individual Rushmore, just for the fact that it's come out twice in 2 Rushmores for me recently, it would have been around the 5 region, possibly number 4. It's a really great story of a teacher, an ex-teacher who's lost her husband and hires this escort to reconnect and feel romance, feel love again. But she's just not comfortable with the approach of having an escort. And it's this budding relationship, but friendship that builds between the 2 of them. I just found it magical. I thought it was great. So that was the punch from earlier. I just wanted to touch on that very quickly. I know the screeners have heard me go deep into this film. And Jazz, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's on Amazon Prime now, if you are looking to catch it somewhere.
Sick. I will be watching it.
Cool.
Yeah, we're not going to spend long on this one, Jazz, just because AJ brings this movie up a lot.
Oh, it's the 3rd time. Leave me alone.
Fair enough.
In 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Jazz.
Gotta love it.
So, Jazz, let's go with the one I said snap earlier. Let's go with your worst.
So, I don't like picking a worst. I think I said this last time as well. But there was one film that I did watch for this particular episode that I couldn't finish. I just couldn't get through it. I gave it as much chance as I think it deserved. And it's Julie Walters, I believe, and Educating Rita, which might be controversial.
Oh, yes.
Because I understand it is a very highly, it's a well-loved film. It's a highly rated film as far as I could tell. and it was recommended to me by my father. I was like, Dad, do you know any like older British films that I haven't, listed off to? And he brought out Educating Rita and was like, oh, you should really watch this. It was the first time she'd really done any acting. It's a really good film. And I just couldn't get through it. It is so hammy and so poorly adapted from the stage version. And I just didn't like the acting in it either. It was too sort of that period for me to actually get into and enjoy. But I can understand why some people would love it as well equally. It's just not for me.
Sometimes I can agree with what you're saying there. I think sometimes if you've seen a film in its time, it works magical and you can kind of connect with it. Kind of like you, Nick, with Matilda. It was just the wrong time. I can't remember one film I saw. I think Airplane was another one for me, or for both of us, where just watched it and it's like, this doesn't work now. I may have laughed before, but it's just not working now. So yeah, I get that. Sometimes a product of its time is, its own downfall. Yeah.
But yeah.
While you're on screen, AJ, go with your worst.
So my worst, it just kept sticking out to me. I was a casual fan of the TV series, and I've found that the BBC can make really good TV series. When they make them into films, they don't go too well, be it Dad's Army, be it David Brent, or be it Absolutely Fabulous. It just didn't work. Like, I love both Jennifer French and Joanna Lumley. I think they're great. Anytime you catch them in something, it's always a great laugh. This film, I remember, like, again, it was one of those lockdown movies. My girlfriend and I were like, oh yeah, I'm fab, like, let's give it a shot. And I kind of remember the story, but it was weak. It was terrible. I just didn't laugh. Something about them being framed for the murder of Kate Moss, but it's something to do with paparazzis. Then they moved to France or something. And I just remember just sitting there. And that's the worst thing, that when you sit down for a laugh and you're just sitting there, it's horrendous. I'm sure there might be a lot worse out there, but I just recall having that moment of, okay, well, that was it then. All right, fair enough. And yeah, it just didn't work for me.
Okay. My worst is, I don't think a lot of people are going to disagree with this. Hindsight being a wonderful thing, but I've got to go with Daisy Ridley in The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, screw you.
Nah, sorry, mate.
To be fair, Rise of Skywalker is not my ultimate.
It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. It's just not. Okay. She is. Listen, we are talking about worst movie. The title is not the worst performance.
That's why. Yeah.
She is not the problem with this movie. I'm going to go on record now and say this is not like Daisy Ridley ruined Star Wars. Like, bullshit. Nothing to do with it. It's not nothing to do with any of the actors. AJ, I'll say this. I do think Daisy Ridley is an inferior actor to Felicity Jones, even though she had more to work with. And there were times, which Felicity never did to me in Rogue One, there were times where I thought Daisy Ridley was a bit heavy-handed and ham-fisted with some of her, Luke Skywalker. It's like, tone it down, girl. Tone it down. You're not Al Pacino, yeah? You don't need to go crazy. Like, tone it down a little bit. Where does the buck stop with who's a good actor, who's not a good actor, versus how are they being directed? Like, look at Dave Bautista. By his admission, he's not a good actor. James Gunn got a great performance out of him in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's the mark of a really good director, working with someone who, by their own admission, is not hyper talented at what they do, but that director knows how to work with their wheelhouse. So where does that buck stop? That's a whole debate we could have. Rise of Skywalker is kind of like a perfect storm of errors, because you've got clearly no long-term plan from Disney of how to get from 7 to 9. Equally, and I know fans won't want to hear this, but I don't give a fuck. It's my podcast. I'll say what I want. Equally, toxic fandom being so loud that it actually forced Disney's hand to do something which they weren't planning on doing. Like, JJ coming back was not on the cards. The fandom was so fucking loud. Yeah, the fandom wasn't loud. They're talking shit. Really? Really, it wasn't loud. So why did Solo fail? That's interesting. A completely different movie that had nothing to do with the what's a good word for this? How would we describe episode 8? Dividing episode 8. I personally liked it. I know a load of people who didn't like it, right? Although I can see faults with episode 8. There are problems with that movie, but I don't argue no movie is perfect. But you can't say that to a toxic Star Wars fan because they go crazy. Star Wars is perfect. Fuck you. Sure, Disney didn't have a long-term plan, and the fandom was so fucking loud and toxic because they had ownership of a property which they don't own, but they had ownership of the property that it actually forced Disney's hand to be even worse than the actual plan that they had. So it was a comedy of errors all rolled into one. It's like, what do we do? Bring Han Solo back for a scene. Bring the Emperor back. Fuck, what do we do? Bring Lando Calrissian back. Give them fan service. But what about the story? Don't worry about that. Make the fans happy. It was a comedy of errors, and the result was, unfortunately, a bit of a mess. But it did keep one thing. I'm going to piss people off here again. It did keep one thing in track. It meant that every single third movie in their respective trilogy was the worst of their respective trilogy. Because Revenge of the Sith is wank. Return of the Jedi, while not wank, is the weakest of those 3 movies, in my humble opinion. And Rise of Skywalker, not good. So Star Wars is kind of like the perfect 3 trilogies where each movie, the third movie, is the worst in its respective trilogy. Come at me. Don't care.
Sorry, I must admit, I just instantly saw you say Daisy Ridley. I saw Rey. I thought Force Awakens. I was like, how dare you? I Rise of Skywalker I can go with. Couple of bits here that I just want to go through. Billy Mount has said, what about the Nan movie? I love Catherine Tate. I have not seen the Nan movie, Billy, so I can't comment on that one. Francis has actually hurt me. I think this was going to hit you more, Nick. What about Barbara Windsor in a Carry On film? Not a mention. I'm shocked there wasn't one for you. I feel like an idiot as well. I feel like a top class idiot. Yeah. That one.
Jazz, are you a fan of the Carry On movies, or are they too aged for you?
I actively avoid them.
They're quite smart. They're quite witty. I watched one.
All right.
There's a certain wit to it. It's very risque of its time. I do like it. Gavin says, worse than the Scottish Mermaid film. I don't know what film that is.
Oh, I know that fucking film, The Last Mermaid. That was a steaming pile of shit.
Right.
That was awful.
And Billy's asking a question to the both of you, which I know I can't answer, so I'm thankful he didn't mention my name in it as well. Jazz and Nico, Ava, and the 355 or the 355 with Jessica Chastain are my worst. Can you agree with that?
I can't because I haven't seen.
I have not yet seen. Should I not see that? I love Jessica Chastain, usually.
Me too.
Love. So, I mean, that was it's on my list of things that I should watch, but maybe I won't.
I'm kind of like, oh, do we not? Yeah.
Okay. See, look, I've opened up the can of worms here. I love Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, possibly my favorites with Empire Strikes Back. Agreed. Happy to admit that my petty side gets a kick out of winding up toxic super mega fans with his snuts. Fuck yes, Gavin, and you keep doing that. Because do you know what needs to die in 2023? Toxic mega fandom. Why can we all not just love the things we love without calling for people to lose their jobs? Like, what is wrong with the world? Fuck Kathleen Kennedy. Fuck JJ. Fuck George Lucas. Like, people, I think Revenge of the Sith is a pile of wank. I wasn't calling for George Lucas to lose his job. Jesus. Like, yeesh. Hate, but dial it down. Like soft hate.
Yeah.
Soft hate is fine. And
I
I'm with you,
everyone...
Yes, I love The Phantom Menace. I do love that movie. It's a good movie.
So bad.
I like it. It's so much better than Revenge of the Sith.
I tried watching it first year of lockdown. We said we were going to watch all of the prequel films, and we started with The Phantom Menace, and I just couldn't do it. It's so bad.
I love it. I fucking love it. And you see, look at me. Jazz and me disagreeing, and we're not going for the jugular.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to go for one question before we move on from Star Wars. Nick, directed at you. Nico, what did you think of Hayden in the Obi-Wan series?
He wasn't in it. wasn't fucking in it. I love it. For me, that was the biggest bit of trolling that Disney ever did to people. I thought that was fucking hysterical. Like, you get him out on stage at D23 to do the whole, and he does the whole, this is where the fun begins speech. Like, oh my God, it's Obi-Wan and Anakin, it's Hayden and fucking Ewan back on stage together. And he's in it for one scene. Oh yeah, but he was in the suit. I get the fuck out of my face with that bullshit. Hayden Christensen may as well have not been in this series. I was laughing my ass off when I was like, so he's in it for one scene and it's a flashback to when he was actually Anakin. It's like, oh, but when they cut the mask off, you saw his eye. Wow. So this is hysterical. They all have been trolled. I was very happy that he wasn't in it, though. And I was very happy that Disney learned their lesson of, yeah, this kid's not good. Keep him behind the mask. Just don't speak. Do the James L. Jones voice. Oh, he is bad. I'm sorry.
I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's the problem. I don't think that Hayden is the problem with the films. Anyway, we're not talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, the writing is the problem with the films. The writing is the problem with listen, you can't fucking polish a turd. I'm sorry, but the writing is the problem with those films. He didn't help. Like, I know why Leonardo DiCaprio didn't take that role all those years ago, because the scripts are bad. But like, Hayden is not good.
Right. Okay.
Have you seen him in Jumper? Yes.
Right. Over to Jazz. Let's get Jazz's number one.
Yes, my number one. Okay. My number one will be no surprise to these guys anymore. Is Tilda Swinton.
Oh, that's also our number one.
Heck yeah.
We've also got
deserves to
Tilda.
be there. Brilliant. I think we may have different films because I think I know who you will have picked based on directors I know you like. But my pick was Orlando, 1992 film. This film blew my little socks off. I loved it. And when I say I only watched this like a week ago and it just shot to number one, I could not put anything else there.
Nice.
It just, I mean, okay, so Orlando. I was convinced to watch this by my girlfriend, who has been trying to get me to read the Virginia Woolf novel Story of My Life. My girlfriend tries to get me to read. I watch the film.
I like that.
But she convinced me at least to watch the film before I recorded with you guys. It's a Virginia Woolf novel. It's, I think, a modernist novel where the character Orlando is followed from the moment where he is given favor from the Queen Elizabeth I and is sort of told never to die or never to wither. And from that moment on doesn't. And we follow the story with like snippets and mostly sort of scenes with very little dialogue all the way through to modern times. And we just get little snatches from here and there. And gradually, as we're following the character of Orlando, who starts out a man in Elizabethan England, ends up this like high power woman living in modern London. And it is just a devastating performance from Tilda Swinton. I mean, I think you could probably put Tilda in anything and she would rock it. But this just is, it's crazy. I think she has this sort of way about portraying this character as and the like subtle transformation that really catches you off guard as you watch it through, and to the point where the character does sort of do a reveal by looking in a mirror and figuring out that they're a woman. It sort of, you're not surprised by it by the time she gets there, even though she has played a very convincing man up until that point. And yeah, I think it's a really interesting discussion of gender, which I think we get very little of, like intelligent conversation through film, especially these days. There's a great interview that I saw with Tilda where they were talking about there was a re-release of Orlando relatively recently. So it was released originally in 1992, and they did a re-release in the 2000s. And she was asked if modern audiences, so more current audiences, will be a little bit more sort of sensitive to the subject matter. And Tilda was like, no, we've gone backwards. There was some really cool shit that was happening in the 90s with like art house films that you just couldn't do these days because there's so much red tape and so much like policing of stuff that will be seen as popular and able to be sold. And it's just not something that you could get away with.
Nope.
But it's
the double A movie has gone. The double A movie doesn't exist anymore. It's triple A or indie, nothing in between.
Yeah. I think there is a lot of truth to that. But yeah, this film, I mean, directed by Sally Potter, and I think there's a lot of weight. I think I need to give a lot of weight to British women directing films as well, about ostensibly British women and adapted from British women, because it just brings like context to it that I just don't think you could get if you didn't have that representation there in the creative team. And I don't think I want to preface that by saying I don't think that like just having the representation of women is necessarily enough, but I do think we need to be mindful of who is representing what subject matter and who is it being produced for, because I don't think we can simply produce things for women in general. But
it's demeaning. I mean, you can tell me this as a woman, but is it not demeaning?
It would absolutely, of course, to not have all of the sort of like cross sections of society taken into account and just be like, it's the problem that I have with, as I was saying before, romance films, where you have the like woman who is put there who is pretty and smart and everything a woman's meant to be, or you know the sort of, what are they called, manic pixie dream girls, who are everything a woman is meant to be if you want a quirky woman. You know, it's really gets my goat. But these sorts of films, very important to still be producing and still be raising these sorts of questions with the sort of cinematography and the acting and the production. Like this film is just gorgeous. If you are into like sweeping landscapes, but also like period costume and haunting music, it ticks off everything. I loved it.
I wish I could add, Jazz, but you've summed that
Likewise.
up wonderfully.
It sounds like such an awesome movie, like one that's really on the must-see soon ASAP list. So thank you for that.
Yes.
I'm adding that to the list. Yeah. We need to do a top 10 Tilda Swinton movies, AJ.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so,
Jazz,
Jazz,
need to do that.
Just as you said, you believe you know what our joint number one was. Would you like to hazard a guess?
Yes, I'm going to put forward my vote tentatively because, I mean, it was on my list as well for a while with We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Yes, hole in one.
Excellent.
Kudos to Andy, who also said, what do we think Nico and AJ have gone for? We need to talk about Kevin. Oh.
AJ, you've seen it finally now. I want to hear what you thought about this, because Jazz, I've been telling him to watch this movie for the longest fucking time, so I'm so happy.
I love the way Nick makes it sound like I tried to just casually dismiss it. Every week.
No, bro. Listen, I got your back. I know it's not because you don't take my word and you're like, nah, fuck that movie. I know it's because you got movies to watch. But
exactly.
I'm always happy when you see it.
Yeah. Each week is a different topic. A different topic pushes these films down the list, sadly. When this came up, and it's something that has been on the list for a while. Again, I think in the same episode that A Streetcar Named Desire came up, We Need to Talk About Kevin came up. I believe it was to do with mental
health. Yeah.
So it's been there for a while, and this came up, and you mentioned it to me, like, well, for Tilda, this is the film, like, this is your chance to see it, and I was like, yeah, you're right. A bit of Asian vision took place, and I was able to watch this film, and my gosh, the anguish. One of the things that you said to me was that how happy you were that I finally seen this film, and I'm not taking anything away from Tilda because it's such a performance. Now, say what you wish about older Kevin, the younger Kevin, that kid who just
superb.
Oh, the acting in that, and again, going back to what you say on the Vivian Lee and Brando and the Kate Winslet and DiCaprio, you need to bounce off of something. And this kid was given the powerhouse that is Tilda Swinton to work with. And that troubled relationship that was there, this free spirit who's now locked down and is frustrated with this child, the journey that came into this film, I was just, oh my God, I in a way to say lost for words. It was just touching, heartbreaking. And, you know, one of the things, another one, and I don't want to take away from Tilda Swinton.
Disturbing.
The disturbing, how disturbing it is. John C. Reilly is another actor who I believe...
He's brilliant, mate. When he's not messing around with Will Ferrell, he's fantastic.
Exactly. When he's not doing dumb shit with Ferrell, you know, like Step Brothers, and you just think, I don't want to watch that. Then you catch him in another thing and you're like, beauty, absolute beauty. This is gold. And it's just that the family dynamic in each way, each relationship that's built there, you know, him wanting to believe in Kevin and Tilda's character, the mum, who's just like, he's done this. Our daughter has got a glass eye. I can't prove it, but I know it's him. It's all these different elements and how disturbed this child is. And when you hear he's inside, well, you see the visuals of him being inside, locked up, and you're thinking, what did he do? And the more that unravels and the heartbreak, and now you realize how this high-powered lady who had, you know, the 2.4 children family, everything that you can picture, the house, the lot, and why she's in the house that she's in now, living the life that she does. It spun me. It hurt me. I was disturbed. What a film. What a film.
Oh, yeah. And I've gone double jeopardy on this one because, Jazz, back in November, I believe it was, Gavin, correct me if I'm wrong, we did the top 10 Scottish movies. And I brought a director called Lynn Ramsay to the party there twice because she's directed 2 films which I adore. One called Morven Kala and one called Ratcatcher. And she also directed this. And I'll say now, and I will keep saying it because I want everyone to watch Lynn Ramsay's work and support Lynn Ramsay's movies and get the word out that you will put money behind Lynn Ramsay if she makes a movie because, Jazz, I will say it now, she is that so very unfashionable and rare oddity that we get in the UK, a true artist. She is not something made by the Hollywood machine. She's not something that's been prefabricated over years and years and years of polishing a pebble and figuring out what people reciprocate well. This is a woman who does not give a fuck. She deals with subject matter which most people wouldn't want to even confront in a newspaper, let alone in what most people consider a medium of entertainment above everything else. Normally, the type of topics that she talks about are considered taboo, and taboo is usually restricted to the realm of elevated horror. Not so with Lynn Ramsay. She takes topics like in Ratcatcher, like in Morven Kala, like in We Need to Talk About Kevin, puts them in front of a mainstream audience in a completely undigestible way, and yet somehow makes them digestible, and you leave feeling like you need to take a shower after a Lynn Ramsay movie because her movies are disturbing, and I adore her for that. She should be heralded as one of the best. Fuck gender here. She should be heralded as one of the most sought after directors in the world at the moment. She is amazing. And Tilda Swinton with a fucking performance of a lifetime. Like Tilda literally embraces her inner Audrey Hepburn in this. It's like, Audrey could do it, so can I. I'm going to eat up the scenery in every scene I'm in. And my God, doesn't she? This is... You were talking at the top of the show, Jazz, about movies that stay with you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with everything about We Need to Talk About Kevin. It was on my list as my Tilda Swinton pick before I watched Orlando. And I just swapped them because I thought other women probably deserved a bit of limelight as well. But I mean, if I could create a list of just 10 Tilda Swinton movies, I would. She's magic. Yeah, she's just... There's something... otherworldly that she brings to every movie that she's in. There's a movie that is not very good, I will stress, called Only Lovers Left Alive, where Tilda plays Eve, a vampire, and I think against Tom Hiddleston's Adam. Bad movie. Tilda Swinton, fantastic. I would watch that movie just for her. Like, she can elevate and bring something to a pile of nothing.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Right. We need to Rushmore this stuff now, guys.
Yeah, I see a few comments here from Gavin and Andy talking about top 10 movies directed by British women. Okay, because I was going to say we've done top 10 female directors, but British women is look out for it, guys. Can't promise when, but yeah, that's one to
adding it to our long list of topics.
Yeah, indeed.
So, what are the comment sections saying for people's individual top 10s and Rushmores?
Right. Okay. Here we go. I was on it and I've just moved away from it. Sorry.
I got it.
RJ
Skarenki says Edge of Tomorrow, Atomic Blonde, The Menu. Pretty much any 007 movie. Francis Lalonde has said Elsa Lanchester in Bride of Frankenstein, Barbara Steele in Black Sunday, Diane Rigg on a nice pull on Her Majesty's Secret Service, Julie Christie, again, nice pull. Julie Christie in Don't Look Now. And honorable mention Judy Andrews for The Sound of Music. Sorry, that was one week. We don't need to start that one. Pedro Santos says, my 4 picks would be I've Loved You So Long with Kristen Scott Thomas, The Night Porter with Charlotte Rampling, We Need to Talk About Kevin with Tilda Swinton, and Vera Drake with Imelda Staunton. Francis Lalonde says, Silver Screen Dudes, my Rushmore honorable mentions, Julie Andrews, The Sound of Music, Angela Lansbury, The Manchurian Candidate. My Rushmore, part 1 of 2. So we've just done that one. And part 2, yeah, we've covered that. Andy Hart says, my top 10, Brief Encounter, The Red Shoes, The English Patient, A Quiet Place, Roman Holiday, Suddenly, Last Summer, Orlando, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Rogue One, and Lady Macbeth. Gavin Mann says, After Love, X, Promising Young Women, Saving Mr. Banks, We Need to Talk About Kevin, This Is England, Mulholland Drive, A Quiet Place, Charade. Oh, number 1, The Force Awakens. And Ruby Thomas says Florence Pugh, Vivian Lee, Felicity Jones, Emma Thompson. That reads very nicely, doesn't it? Right, debate time. How do we do this, guys?
Are we doing it by female actor / actress?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can have Tilda on twice, for instance.
This is it, yeah.
No.
And just bear in mind, so the point of the show is obviously to do what we've been doing, which is educate and entertain and edutain. When the vote ultimately goes out to the wider Twitter sphere, I've tried doing the whole edutain them via a poll before. It doesn't work. The safe thing here, that's not to say people are dumb. It's just to say a lot of the time, some of the obscure movies we pick, people won't have seen. So by proxy from not seeing it, it doesn't get voted on. It is always safer, just for the sake of getting more poll numbers, to have a more balanced view of what people's watching habits are. You got to pick the more popular movie.
That is fair enough. I am confident that I have swayed some people to watch some underrated movies tonight.
Hell yeah.
I believe you have. You've definitely done it for me. Okay, I can guarantee that. Thank you, Gavin.
Tilda needs to be on there.
Absolutely.
Are we all happy to go with We Need to Talk About Kevin on the basis that it would likely be more popular than Orlando? Are we cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to also have a classic actress in there. I think we have to put Julie Andrews in there. We'd be crazy to not have a poll on British females and not have Julie Andrews in there. We all agree on this?
Yes.
I think so. It's either that or Vivian Lee for me.
I mean, my Audrey Hepburn is still like tickling.
Oh, true.
Yeah. We could put all 3.
But, and I'm not saying no.
There's always a but.
Jazz, your favorite actress?
Oh, not having Emma Thompson on there. Shit.
We need to have Emma Thompson on there. I'm sorry.
We do need to have Emma Thompson.
I will simply log off if we're gone. If we're not.
Fuck you! I'm never coming back. Mount Rushmore. Okay, so of the three powerhouses of, not to say Emma Thompson's not a powerhouse, but we're talking about people we're going to get rid of here. So between Julie Andrews, Audrey Hepburn, and Vivian Leigh, who would make way for Emma Thompson? Or does Tilda make way for Emma Thompson?
No. That was triple number one. Let's not call it. Let's not be silly here.
Triple number one. Who makes way for Emma Thompson?
I feel very... I feel risque in saying maybe Vivian needs to take the cut.
I'm kind of with you on that.
I was leaning towards that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Are we actually AJ, just while I'm making notes on this, have you got the potential four?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, to have a quick look through the list, is there anything else that you would maybe want to bat for? And Jazz, just to be clear, the Emma Thompson we're going to pitch is Sense and Sensibility, yeah?
Yes, I would be happy with that.
Okay. Anything else you want to throw in there, AJ?
No.
I do think it's mental that no one's brought up, and I'm equally as guilty of this, obviously. No one has talked about Emily Blunt.
So here's the thing. Here's my thing. I tried. Now, when it came to it, I picked Mary Poppins, and Mary Poppins wasn't going to come in twice. Okay?
Quiet Place.
I also then rewatched A Quiet Place 1 because the missus hadn't seen it. She was like, what are you watching? I was like, A Quiet Place 2. She's like, and I've not seen number 1, how dare you? So I had to go back to A Quiet Place 1, right? Don't do that to me.
AJ, follow your heart. Keira Knightley.
Oh, dear. That heart. Oh, God. Yeah, I won't even say that too loud because I may be sleeping somewhere else tonight. But, yeah. But no, I believe, especially when it came to both Quiet Place movies, I felt like she was a support. It was definitely John Krasinski's film in number 1, and the daughter took over in number 2. So as much as I would like to, I'm sorry.
Me?
Bro, I call it as I see it. Equally, Edge of Tomorrow. Like,
Edge of Tomorrow, I would listen to her being a support. Absolutely.
I just feel she's a support in most of these films. I can't call one where I've seen her personally as a lead. Emily Blunt, I thought was definitely going to be there.
If she's cast as Susan Storm, are you still going to say it's a supporting lead because Mr. Fantastic?
No, that's different. That's completely different. Okay. There's 4 people who own the spot of a lead. That's like Hidden Figures, just being like, no, it's Octavia Spencer. No, I'm not going to do that. No. Like,
although I'd like to say it's definitely Octavia Spencer.
but like that's the problem here. I just feel like in those films, my intention was I was really happy to finally see A Quiet Place 2, and it was like, especially with the way she cocks the gun at the end of number 1, I'm like, yes, she's going to take the lead. She's going to be in there. Top 3 selected, guaranteed. I watched it. I was like, it's the daughter for the lead. People tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm harsh. It's just
you're harsh. I think you're harsh, but since we can't come to an agreement on it, I guess no Emily. So are we going to settle on these 4 then? Yes.
So what are we doing for Julie? Sound of Music?
Has to be.
I saw that eyebrow.
It's what it has to be. I was like, I agree.
Based, bro, I picked Mary Poppins with you, yeah. But like, Jazz is the guest. People in the chat have said Sound of Music. We got to go with that way.
Audrey Hepburn, especially after Jazz's highlight, can't be My Fair Lady. But it has to be done. It's what's on our list. It's what's on our list. Yeah.
I mean, it's not to say she's not brilliant in it. It's just controversial brilliant.
I like that. It's controversial brilliant. AJ, we are adding that to our lexicon. It's controversial brilliant.
Yeah, I like that. I do like that indeed.
Watch people start to use that to try and describe Michael Bay's career. Ha! Controversial brilliant.
It could also be the definition to Movie Mount Rushmore, you know.
Controversial brilliant. I like that. We need to put it on a t-shirt. Jazz, who's your t-shirt supplier?
Me at the moment.
Let's lock this in.
Cool. Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official movie Mount Rushmore of movies led by British women in no particular order is...
Tilda Swinton, We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Our second entry is...
Emma Thompson, Sense and Sensibility.
Our third entry is...
Julie Andrews, The Sound of Music.
Our final entry into the movie Mount Rushmore of movies led by British women is...
Audrey Hepburn, My Fair Lady. Do you know what? I have to be honest, and as much as I love my soft spot for Audrey, this could be Julie Andrews' chance to get a bit of a revenge on the situation. Be like, take the victory. As long as she comes anything above Audrey in any position, she gets her revenge. So, hey.
Yep.
Okay, guys. Now, how could Julie Andrews get this revenge? It's easy by heading over to @MovieMT Rushmore, the official poll of this Silver Screen Dudes. But more importantly, the person we will be retweeting. No, you can't vote twice because it's a retweet. Head on over to @MoviePolls4You. We love movies. Good old JT will be posting up, and then we get the retweet. And that's where you get to put your vote for the 4 contenders. Once again, a quick reminder: Tilda Swinton, We Need to Talk About Kevin; Emma Thompson, Sense and Sensibility; Julie Andrews, Sound of Music; and Audrey Hepburn, My Fair Lady. What a killer list!
It's a killer list. It's an absolutely killer list. Guys, also as a reminder, you if you do like the show and you want to show some love to the Movie Dudes, you can head on over to buymeacoffee.com/Movie Dudes, and for literally less than the price of your daily Starbucks, which is as little as £2 or more if you wish, you can support the channel and the podcast at a level that is comfortable on the wallet and easy for you. We do bring you weekly content, so hopefully we entertain you, and if we do and you want to say thanks, there's your means to do it. You can also find me on Daddy Goo on YouTube, where I will be doing gaming live streams, horror, Star Wars, fantasy, geeky stuff. And as always, you can follow us on Movie MT Rushmore on Twitter. Next week, as I imagine people will be saying, what's the show next week? Next week, we will be doing the top 10 movies with a number in the title.
It's bigger than I thought. And can I just say, before we do sign out, Jazz, thank you so much for coming back. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been way too long. Thank you.
Yes,
it's been great.
I've had such a good time. This has been a great last couple of hours, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Thanks for having me on, guys.
And Jazz, just before you do leave, we are giving you your shout out time. Where can people find you, and what are you up to?
Yes, so I am a co-host of another little podcast called The People's Polygraph. It's a trivia show that I do with my housemate every couple of weeks. You can find us on Twitter at PPLS Polygraph. That's probably the easiest way to find us at the moment. If you just want to find me, I am at Jazzymandius. It's like Ozymandias, but with jazz. Smart. And I also have an actual play podcast called Roll Your Own Adventure. That's me, some Aussie mates, and a Canadian playing a D&D adventure that you guys can join in on. And yeah, we're on Spotify. Come find us.
That's amazing, guys. So thank you from all of us here at Movie Mount Rushmore. We will be back, as always, next Tuesday, 9 p.m. British Standard Time. Until then, guys, we're out. We'll see you soon.